Welcome to the Late Night Boxing Talks. A lot to discuss, couple of key subjects I want to go over tonight. Some recent announcements that have taken everybody by surprise, certainly taken me by surprise. The Stephen Fulton versus Naoya Inoue title fight at Super Bantamweight set to go down in the land of the rising sun. You guys know that I didn't think that fight was going to happen. I didn't think it would materialize because that's not what we're accustomed to seeing from PBC fighters. Was goody Ma, was goody Danny, was goody Zaz, was goody Jack. You know what I mean? It takes me back to when Gary Russell Jr. was offered $1 million to fight Josh Warrington. And, you know, it boggled my mind that he rejected the offer, saying it was too low, when I gave him very good odds to beat Josh Warrington. I think he would have won that fight, and it would have been a unification match. It would have been for Gary's WBC and Josh's IBF. This was before Gary lost the title to Mark Magsayo, and it boggled my mind that he turned down that fight when it seemed like a very winnable fight for him. The Charlo versus Andrade fight, Charlo was offered something like $7 million to go unify titles with Demetrius Andrade in a one-off situation on the DAZN platform. And, you know, that offer was rejected. About 3 or 4 years ago, Gervonta Davis was offered. The initial offer was $5 million, but Eddie Hearn stated that he was willing to go up as high as $8 million to have Gervonta Davis go over to their side of things. Same kind of deal, same kind of situation, one-off fight, unification match on the platform. And that offer was rejected, even though, you know, the money was real. Mikey got his money. Andy Ruiz got his money. Danny Jacobs got his money. So why wouldn't the money be real for them? That was at a time when DAZN was attempting to break into the U.S. market and make waves in the process. You know, you got to pay to play. It takes money to make money. That principle. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But it's because of those situations that I didn't expect that Stephen Fulton would take on Naoya Inoue. It's because there's a proliferation of situations like that where there's a big fight. It's certainly a better fight than any fight that you can have on your own side of things. And a lot of times those fights don't happen. They don't materialize. Consider that by the time that Stephen Fulton became WBO champion, MJ was already unified. By the time that he won the second belt, you know, in the Brandon Figueroa fight, which was a good fight, what effort was made to get in the ring with MJ? You know, that's a big part of the reason why I felt that fight with Inoue wasn't going to happen. And even now I'm still skeptical because fights fall apart all the time. Even fights that don't have political boundary lines and so on and so forth, even fights that are supposed to be easy to make, they fall apart. So I am approaching Inoue versus Fulton as a fight with some skepticism because it's supposed to be a spring fight. I think they said something about maybe June or something like that. And I'm like, well, between now and then, there's a lot of room and a lot of time for things to go wrong. And maybe it's my old age and my many years as a boxing fan, but I'm always skeptical of everything. I'm always skeptical. You know, that's just how I am. Martin, what it do, what it do? Nah, él no se va a ir con esa gente, Martín. Él no se, porque ellos no tienen dinero. Ellos no tienen a broadcast deal con un canal to give him money. So con eso, ellos no tienen dinero de verdad. They're useless, bro. What's goody, Coach Malachi? What's goody, boxing nerd? Raúl, que lo que manín? High King of the Midwest, you already know. And for those of you that have not seen my hard-hitting, award-winning Edgar Berlanga video, you can you can get off the live right now and go watch that one. And I talked about that and come back, I'll still be here. But yeah, that's a big part of the reason that I was very skeptical and still am very skeptical about Inoue versus Fulton as a fight, because it's a situation to where Inoue is kind of forcing Stephen to respond. He is, because he's his mandatory challenger. He has WBO super status, which allows him to move up in weight, already being the mandatory challenger. So you only have two options in a situation like that. It's either fight or flight. You're either going to fight to defend your belt or you're going to hand it over. And, you know, it's nice. I would love to see the fight. Like, what I want is the fight, you know, more than anything. More than being right, I would prefer to be wrong. I want to see the fight because I'm a fight fan. That's generally why I'm here. That's generally what we're talking about, or what we like to talk about, actual fights that materialize. But I'm also no wide-eyed optimist. I'm also very skeptical by nature, cynical by nature. Just because they're saying this now doesn't, I'm sorry, I'm not going to really believe it until they're in the ring. That's when I'll believe it. And if somebody's offended by that, I don't care. Why should that offend you? What's going on in your life that me being skeptical affects you so much? What is going on or what is not going on in your life? So, what it do? Ronin. Maybe it's not a surprise because PBC can't do anything for Fulton, and the smaller weights have never been popular in the United States. That's a very fair point. It's a very fair point. But they do have a proliferation of fighters at those weights. So even though that's a very valid point, that the smaller weights have never been all that popular in the United States, the PBC has still made a conscious effort to be invested in those divisions between Stephen Fulton, Brandon Figueroa, Leo Santa Cruz, Ray Vargas. They're invested in those divisions, you know, which is kind of why I looked at it like, you know what, I'm going to let it play out because I don't know that I can get excited yet. I would like to be excited about the fight because I've said it before. It's a very intriguing fight. Stephen Fulton is a defensive specialist who's durable. We saw that in the Figueroa fight, that push comes to shove. This is a guy who can take a punch. He can take a couple of hard shots, couple of punches. There were very few super bantamweights, if any bantamweights, at super bantamweights, as physically imposing as Brandon Figueroa, who was always very big for that weight. And the fact that Stephen Fulton went the distance, didn't go down, didn't get knocked out, that showed me that, no, the guy's durable. He can take a shot. He can take a punch. I will say that the delivery system of Brandon Figueroa's punches, it is very different from what you get from Inoue. What you get from Edgar is more straightforward, which allows you to brace yourself because you know he's applying pressure. You know he wants to invade the pocket, so you instinctively know to cover up. Whereas Inoue, because he's fast and he's accurate, he's more likely to try to hit you with a punch you don't see. And what do they say about the punches you don't see? Those are the ones that knock you out because you don't brace yourself for them. You get hit, your head jostles, your brain jostles inside of your skull, and the mechanism is to get knocked out. You know, that's what happens. And, you know, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. I won't lie that I want to be excited, but I'm also cynical. I'm cynical by nature. You know, I got a guy. Let me look at this guy's name. I don't even know what this guy's name is. This guy's been at this for like a week. Like, I don't really know what he thinks he's accomplishing, but what's this guy's name, man? David James, right, David James. This is one of these, he's a weirdo. Like, when you do stuff like that, you're a weirdo. If you tell me, yo, you want to come on my podcast? Yeah, you know, whether it's Beats or Lady Chan or Coach Malachi, anybody that asks, you know, of course we can shoot the shit and chop it up. Of course, like, no problem. But this David James person, he's been at this for like, I think, a little over a week. And he's like a passive-aggressive type thing. Like, he's so upset. Oh, my God, how dare you doubt Stephen Fulton? Like, bruh, like, you know him or something? Like, do you work for the PBC? Yes, I'm skeptical because usually I see PBC fighters turn down offers, turn down fights. Yes, naturally, it's kind of self-explanatory that, yeah, I mean, there could be problems. At minimum, I anticipated problems. If there are no problems, great, then we get a fight. But how is it wrong, or why are you upset, or at all bothered, just at all in any way, in any capacity, big or small, that a complete stranger online is skeptical as to whether a cross-promotional fight in a foreign country involving an American fighter associated with an outfit that does not normally do fights like that, why would that upset you? And why would you be so timid and bashful as to reject? I've invited the guy to come on here and talk about it like maybe 5-6 times, and he'd rather stay on Twitter because, like I always say, these guys they know how stupid they sound when they make the arguments they make, but they don't sound stupid on Twitter because it's text. You won't jump on here in real time and say any of that shit. you or the other guy, because I could pull up all the sources and all the stuff I'm talking about like that in real time. Also, these guys have a thing about hiding who they are. I don't really understand that. You know, you guys can see me. You see me all the time. I have nothing to hide. I'm an open book. Anybody wants to discuss something with me, we can do it right now. You know, but these just a lot of people that are very weird on the internet, and that's what I don't like about the internet, that it's a playground for maladjusted individuals to don disguises and pretend to be people that they really aren't on a day-to-day basis, saying things that they don't say on a day-to-day basis, and behaving in ways that are really not acceptable in a real-life setting. They look to the internet as a refuge, and it's just childish. What's worse is that these aren't children. These are adults. They're not children. If it were children, you know, you can chalk it up to kids being kids, but these are adults. Like, bro, grow up. If you have that much to say, then just jump on and say it. I don't know what the fuck they're so afraid of. Shout out to Donovan. Shout out to Midwest. And yeah, I'm still skeptical. Like, how many fights don't get announced and then something happens? I mean, Oscar Valdez versus Emmanuel Navarrete. That was announced and then it fell apart. Even fights that don't involve cross-promotional, cross-network, cross-country, even fights that don't involve all of that, in-house fights at times fall apart. So I'm naturally skeptical. If that offends someone, you need to, I don't know, go live under a rock. You're too sensitive. And that's the way that they behave always gives away to me their age range. I'm guessing that these individuals are in their 20s. They're part of this millennial generation of thin-skinned men that have a lot of, like, I guess for lack of a better word, feminine qualities. They're very sensitive. They're very excitable. They have no control over their emotions, because that's a millennial thing. You know, one of the more, I guess, for lack of a better word, masculine characteristics is being the master of your domain. You are in control of yourself. Whereas these guys, they get emotional about boxers that don't even know who they are. They get emotional about companies in the sport that aren't paying them. You know, they take it as a personal attack. If you're skeptical, or if I'm skeptical that Fulton would go to Japan, these guys, these very thin-skinned men, take it as a personal attack. I don't even know why you're listening to me if it's that irritating. And I know that you're listening. Guys, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't know who raises these guys, to be real with you. But we got a lot of subjects. I wanted to talk about the Broner, the newly made Broner versus Al Bundy, Hank Lundy fight, and how all of that came into being, and whether or not it's even relevant that Hank Lundy is going to be standing in for Ivan Redcatch. Does that in any way, shape, or form affect the buy rate? And is there even going to be a buy rate? Because this is not the Broner of 6 or 7 years ago that actually had marquee value. I remember that 6 or 7 years ago, Bob Arum actually offered him $3 million in a pay-per-view upside to fight Manny Pacquiao. And this was before Manny lost to Jeff Horn. That was like 2 years later. And you know, he spat on that offer. He rejected it. And that could have been a very big fight at that time. At that time, that could have been a fight that I think would have brought in excess of 500,000 pay-per-view buys, because Manny's name was still worth something and because Broner's name was still worth something, you know, but things happen. Julio, que lo que, maning? Bray, apparently Fulton threatened to air out his grievances if Al Heyman stood in the way of the fight being made. Steve Kim tweeted that, and Jake Donovan confirmed it. That's what's up, bro. Like, look, in a nutshell, if Stephen Fulton is taking control of his career and pursuing the fights that we want to see him in, then hats off to him, because that's what we want. That's what we've always wanted. That's what I've always wanted. Take control. Brandon Figueroa is not a bigger fight than Naoya Inoue. You won't make more money with Brandon than you would with Inoue. And if you win, it's monumental. If you win. If you lose, I'm not going to knock you. I'm not going to call you a hype job. I'm going to say, yo, that dude is still a real dude because he went over there. That's still some real shit. You know what I mean? That's more than Gary Russell wanted to do when they offered him Josh Warrington on a platter. He didn't want to go. But if Stephen is willing to go to Japan and he's basically saying, nah, son, I want to do this. Don't get in my way. I want to do this. If he really saying that, I'm all for it because that's what I've always wanted. Take control of your career. The way that Danny Jacobs took control, the way that Artur Beterbiev took control. It's almost like people forgot that those were PBC fighters. But they reached the point where they decided, you know what? I need to get out of here because what I want moving forward is not here. You know, I can't limit myself to just what y'all have. What y'all have is not bigger than what's over there. Fulton probably found out Inoue has Amazon money. Even if that's the case, bro, that's what you're supposed to do. If I know, yo, it's more money over there in Japan for me than it is over here in America, then I need to get my passport out. I need to go to Japan. I'm not going to, you know, if you try to turn it into a haggling situation, you're only wasting your own time because I said it here and I wasn't trying to be rude when I said it, but people don't know Stephen like that out here. He's not a ticket seller. He's not a big draw. A lot of people, they don't watch those weights in America. But in Japan, they do watch those weights. They do know those fighters. Over there in Japan, the last couple of months, they've been writing articles about Inoue and Fulton and what needs to happen to make the fight take place. And no, Showtime doesn't need to be involved. I'm sorry. No, you don't need to be involved. Are you paying to do the fight? Nah, right? Does Stephen Fulton have an exclusivity contract with you? Nah, right? So then what's the problem? What you need to be involved for? What part of this are you bringing into fruition? If he going over there to Japan, that means he knew he's the A side. And that means that the fight should be shown in America on ESPN. That's what that means. Guys want to delineate the line of what it means to be the A side. That, oh, you could get in haggling situations and have demand. That's not how that works, bro. When Floyd fought Oscar, he made sacrifices because he knew he's the A side. I just want to get him in the ring. If I can get him in the ring, that's all I want because if I get him in the ring, I can beat him. So I ain't going to mess up my own money pretending to be this and that. Nah, you got it. You want the ring your size or the gloves you want or whatever. You got it, bro. Just get in the ring. Do American fighters need a cookie for going overseas? And that's the other thing, that foreign fighters have been road warriors for the longest time. Foreign fighters, they've been road warriors for the longest time. You look at a fighter like Usyk, who every single belt he won on the road. He don't sit at home playing it safe. He don't have home field advantage in no fight that he's in. No fight. He didn't have it in the Golovkin fight. Didn't have it in the Benavidez fight. Didn't have it in the Garcia fight. Didn't have it in the Bellew or the Chisora fight or the Joshua fights. No home field advantage. So also, let's not blow things out of proportion. You're not doing anything that foreign fighters haven't been doing for ages now. What you're doing, however, is common sense. And I applaud that because I notice in the sport, there's a lack of common sense. If you know you get more money for Inoue than Figueroa, than Reese Salim, than any of these guys, if you know that, why are you not going over there? Now you're going over there, right? All right. Common sense. More Berlanga slander. I'm already seeing USA saying if Fulton goes there and wins it, it will be the biggest feat for a fighter traveling abroad in years. Americans want extra credit for being world champions. Okay, I'll say this. If Inoue goes, if Fulton goes to Japan and beats Inoue, that's not bigger than what Usyk did. Usyk did that for every belt that he won. So no, it's not bigger than, and it goes to the point that Drew just made, that Americans always want extra credit for things that are like, bro, oh, you had to travel? Big deal. Usyk had to travel. Devin had to travel. Devin had to travel 2 times. As a really a challenger in many ways, and as a champion. You're not doing nothing that other people didn't do before you. You know, 1 minute, he knew he's a hype job. He's fabricated. if he's a hype job and he's fabricated, these are not things that I've said. These are things that these people have said. Well, if he's a hype job and he's fabricated, then why should he get all this credit for beating a hype job? They don't have no common sense, bro. No common sense. And that's why I don't bother with them either. Yo, shout out to my man Willie Lynch. I appreciate the Cash App donation. You know what I mean? For those that want to send in a Cash App donation to the channel, just look at the link on the ticker. You know what I mean? We out here and we getting money and we having fun and we being cool because we cool people. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, there's this guy, man. This guy, de lo mío que lo que manín. It's sad because I genuinely don't know who would win in Fulton versus Inoue. Heyman is preventing Fulton from a legacy and a huge purse. Well, esta es la noticia, manín. Stephen Fulton y Inoue están negociando. Están negociando para una pelea en la primavera en Japón. So vamos a ver. Para mí esa noticia está buena. Esa noticia está buenísima. Me encanta. If Fulton is serious and he's going there, aplauso. Aplauso. Because that's all we've ever wanted. We're not asking those fighters that are with that promotional outfit to do anything that we're not asking other fighters to do. But guys get upset, you know? They get upset. My man Jesse Quesada, tired of rival promotions and platforms having to agree to PBC terms every time they want to make a big or semi-big fight. A la Ryan and Stank and Nello too. Eso es la verdad. Que vaina más mediocre. Que the Zone wanted to do that fight. And they had an offer of their own. And Caleb wouldn't cross over. So eso está diciendo que si Canelo... If Canelo would have said, nah, son, I'm not going to Showtime, eso significa que él se iba a quedarse ahí, that you would actually let the fight go by if it's not on your platform. Esos tipos lo que son puppets. Puppets. Shout out to Napoli that says, Mike Copinger saying that Inoue and Fulton are in negotiations. I smell BS. Let's cross our fingers, Napoli. Let's cross our fingers and let's hope that they do the fight. Because I'm a fight fan. What I want more than anything is to see the fight. I don't want to really argue about why it didn't happen. I don't want to make videos about why it didn't happen, even though I will if it doesn't. I'd rather see the fight. I'm a fight fan. So I hope that he's serious and I hope it goes down. Fulton got tired of our Twitter bullying. I mean, look, in all actuality, we talked about this the other day, that I think for the first time, Stephen Fulton experienced backlash in his career because I don't think he had experienced that before because there was no reason to give him backlash. You know, he beat Angelo Leo very handily. He had the unification match with Brandon Figueroa, and it didn't take long. So there was no reason to criticize him. But as soon as that news broke, and that's where everything started. As soon as that news broke that he was going to be moving up in weight to fight Brandon again, well, everybody got pissed off. Like, bro, why are you fighting Brandon again? Inoue's on his way to your division. Nobody want to see you fight Brandon again. That shit can wait. Brandon is young. That shit can wait. This is what we want to see. Napoli, Jake Donovan said they agreed to terms. Let's hope, man. Let's hope. To me, I don't want to castigate him. Am I suspicious? Am I skeptical? Absolutely. I'm skeptical by nature. I question everything. Everything. I don't even know if I'm in this room right now. How do you know you're not talking to a program, to a computer program? How do you know I even exist? What if I'm a computer-generated boxing program? You ever thought about that? Scary out here. What's goody, Reaper? You know what I mean? I think, therefore I am, but I am, therefore I think. See what I mean? How do you guys out there know that I'm a real person? What if I'm a robot? What if I'm an AI? What if this is really Al Heyman? What if I'm really Al Heyman, a deep fake Al Heyman? And I'm a cross between Andy Lee and what's his face? The guy from Punisher. I forgot his name. How did I forget his name? God, I'm getting old, man. I really forgot the fucking guy's name. What the fuck is the guy's name? What's that guy from Punisher's name, man? The one who played Shane on Walking Dead. Why do you think hasn't reported pay-per-view buys for Tank and Garcia? Tú sabes lo que yo creo, manín. You know the rule of thumb. I say it all the time. If they had something to brag about, they'd be bragging about it. The Tuesday following Spence versus Porter, Mike already had a set of numbers out there. The Tuesday following that fight. It was only about 2 days after the fight, 2-3 days. And he already had a number. But it's been 9 days, going on 10 days since Davis versus Garcia. And Mike don't have a number. Dan Rafael ain't put out a number. The only one that put out a number was Rick Glacier. And for what it's worth, yeah, I could believe it did that because nobody was asking for that fight. Between nobody asking for that fight and piracy being what it is, yeah, I could believe it only brought in a little bit of pay-per-views. Of course. Thomas Jane? No, not Thomas Jane, bro. The new Punisher that he was Shane on Walking Dead. I forgot his name, bro. Drew, what's that guy's name, man? Remember, Jules, we criticized Fulton because, like Charlo, he talked about Inoue first, and then said Inoue nothing without power, and then said rematch with Figueroa. Exactly right. They act like we just started trashing him for no reason. Like, there's a guy on Twitter, he's like, got a lot of girl energy, and he acting like, oh yeah, you doubting Fulton is some kind of crime. Bro, the dude was the news was, I didn't make up the news. I didn't put that report out there. The report that was out there was, yo, this dude is about to go to 126. So people thought he wasn't going to fight him because the news was he was about to go to 126. Only recently did that news change. Only recently. And even now, I'm still skeptical. Does that bother you? John Bernthal, that's it. John Bernthal, my man, John Bernthal. Shane. I want to say that, I love Walking Dead. I love zombie genre. It's one of my favorite genres of film and storytelling. And every time I watch that show, because I've watched it from the beginning at least 2 times, and every time I go back and watch it, I'm like, yo, dog, Rick ended up turning into Shane. If you really think about it, Shane understood from the very beginning, the old world is dead and we got to be on some savage shit. If I got to break the rules, I got to break them. If I got to fuck your wife, I got to fuck your wife in the clearing, in the ass. Because remember, in the beginning of the show, he fucked her in the ass or something. He flipped her right over like a burger and fucked her in the ass on the grass. That was the 2nd episode. And Shane understood that, like, yo, the old world is dead. You can't be out here on no Boy Scout shit. But Rick, it took Rick like 3-4 seasons to catch up to where Shane was already at psychologically. That, yeah, we got to kill motherfuckers. Yeah, we got to shoot motherfuckers. Yeah, we got to steal shit. Yeah, we got to be on some barbarian shit. How the fuck else you think we going to survive? Shane understood. And I always like to go back and look at that. They're like, yo, it took Rick, even though I fuck with Rick, but it took Rick 3-4 seasons to realize, yo, Shane was right, B. We out here and we got to be out here on some real shit. Some real serious shit. Fucking love Walking Dead, bro. It's my show. He traded up anyway because he ended up with Michonne, Rick. I never really liked Rick's wife. I always felt like, bro, the zombie apocalypse couldn't have been going on for more than a month. More than a month. Let's give it a month, couple of weeks, maybe 2 months. And you was already fucking his best friend. That tell me that you was already trying to fuck his best friend. Because how could it be that it's zombies, you don't even know if your husband is alive. He might be dead or he is dead. And you horny? You're horny. Oh, you trifling. You trifling. Because how is this zombies walking around here eating people and you trying to get shagged? Like, Rick dead, so I might as well. John Bernthal on Walking Dead. Jane, yeah. Thomas Jane was, yeah. You know what I mean? I always felt that, like, yo, at the end of the day, when his joint finally bit the bullet in the prison season, when they got into that prison and they turned it into like a little village or whatever, and Rick was just kind of losing his mind in there, I'm like, bruh, that joint was trifling. You don't even know if that baby is yours. I don't think that baby is his, to be real with y'all. I never thought that was his baby. Because I'm like, bruh, how we know? How we know that's Rick baby? How do we know? We don't know. And Rick is a sucker. So, yeah, you gonna go with it. You should have been like...
You sound like an old lady talking about her soap.
That is my soap opera.
You do. You sound like
It is my soap opera.
An old grandma talking about her
I am an old grandma.
You need to stop. These people are not real.
I am an old grandma, and I do like my soap operas. I like all that shit. Rick wife was a slut. And that's the moral of that story. Rick wife was a slut. Soon as he turned his back, she was shagging his best friend. And what that tell me is she was always going to shag his best friend. Zombie apocalypse or not. But back to boxing. Yeah, you know, I mean, there was reason enough to be skeptical as to whether that fight would materialize. And I'm going to be honest, I was convinced that it wouldn't happen. I was convinced. I'm not going to apologize for that. There's more than enough reasons to have felt that, you know what, maybe that fight won't happen. If nothing else, irrespective of previous instances involving other fighters, shouldn't the news of Fulton moving up to featherweight? That's a big part of why I was like, see, he's going up to featherweight. I mean, I didn't write the story. You know? Nah, I like the squint because it made me look mysterious and shit, like I'm singing an R&B song. Ooh. Watching my stories, yo. I'm watching my stories. You know what I mean? And we out here, bro. We out here. And yeah, so Rick admitted in the later season. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Freddie said, Rick admitted in the later season he knows his daughter wasn't really his. Wow, bro. Really? You know what's weird? The daughter ended up surviving over Coral, over Rick. And who's that? Who daughter that is? Motherfucking Shane. That's fucking Shane's daughter. Shane had the right idea. He understood. We cannot be out here on no Boy Scout shit trying to hang on to a world and the ideologies of a world that is dead. He understood. That's why he fucked Rick wife in them bushes. Like, this is my shit now. I'm the husband now. I fucking you now. I'm the captain now. You know what I'm saying? He understood. Like, yo, Rick ain't here. Got to get that rapture box. You know what I'm saying? Rick is still alive? Stop lying. Don't tell me nothing, because I'm watching it from... I missed out like on the last 4 seasons, so I don't know nothing. I left off when the garbage people came in, so don't tell me nothing, because that's the last seasons when the garbage lady and the garbage people came in. Next thing, Jules finna tell me that shit. Oh, shit. But like I said, for what it's worth, Rick traded up because he ended up with Michonne. And I felt Michonne was way better than Rick's wife. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? In the end, Rick won. In the end. You know what I'm saying? It's real shit, yo. She was raised by Rick and Michonne. I dig it. But, you know what I'm saying? He ended up all right in the end when they went to Alexandria and him and Michonne started shagging. That's good stuff. You know, like he needed that, bro. Was Goody cute? I have no knowledge of this show you speak. Bro, country, you gotta watch Walking Dead, bro. That's the show, bro. Munguia versus G is a huge fight. How does it end? I think Munguia wins. De verdad, sin juego. Yo lo he dicho muchas veces que yo me imagino que lo que ellos están haciendo, they're preserving Munguia para que este año, si Golovkin todavía tiene título, they're going to do that fight maybe in September, por ahí, or around there. Porque esa pelea, you can sell pay-per-views with that shit, bro, de verdad. Por lo menos, yo me imagino, por lo menos, they could sell at least 500,000 pay-per-views with that fight. They could. Viejecito y todo, Golovkin, the only thing he needs to do, Golovkin needs to show that he can still beat people up. And I think that he can still beat people up. Like, yeah, I think he can still beat certain people up. People are too hard on him que él no hizo nada en la pelea con Canelo, pero lo que yo vi es un tipo que quería sobrevivir. Por eso es que él no estaba peleando. Él no puede. Él sabe que yo no puedo con Canelo, pero lo más que yo puedo hacer es sobrevivir. And there's more paydays out there. Berlanga versus Salt Papi. I got Salt Papi, bro. The counter hook from Salt Papi, that shit is money, bro. It's short, it's sharp, he's fat, it's a lot of weight on it. Ese tipo da duro, man. Tipo da duro. Yeah, John Bernthal is a Triple G fan. I did not know that, bruh. New spinoff show with Rick and Michelle. Ooh, I'm watching that shit. For those that don't know, Michonne was the chocolate joint with the samurai sword. You know what I'm saying? Me encanta. Esa chocolatica, coño. So yeah, no. And yeah, yo, I mean, so I'm gonna open up the chat to the panel. We're gonna discuss a couple of subjects. And let's get it on, you know. Let's talk some shit. Berlanga versus Munguia does numbers, absolutely. Pero tú sabes, Drew, que Munguia mata a ese muchacho. Tú lo sabes. Munguia acaba con ese muchacho. Munguia, por todo su defecto, él no es pendejo, tampoco. In the ring, estoy diciendo, él no es pendejo, que when he gets hit, he doesn't freeze up, he fights back. Y eso es lo que yo veo que Berlanga no tiene, que él no tiene ese perro ahí adentro, porque que cuando le tocan la cara, he freezes. When he gets hit with a jab, he freezes. Si tú tocas a Munguia, él se enfojona. He gets fucking mad, he gets angrier. Y eso es lo que tú quieres en un boxeador. That's what you want in a fighter, that he's not just going to let you do whatever, he's going to fight back. So ya tú sabes. I already know, man. Munguia can box, ain't the best, but he can box to a certain level. La verdad, Leo, ya tú sabes. Leo. And yeah, we got a couple of things to discuss. A couple of really spicy subjects, really tasty stuff to whet our palates. So I'm going to pull up a tweet, guys. Leave one spot because I need to use it. Somebody step down because I need to save one spot. It's already 10 people back here.
And I'm on location. I'm heading to go have dinner with Steve Kim, so Steve Kim's gonna pull up later too.
I got you. Somebody got to drop off though, because I need one spot. I got to upload an image.
I am dropping off.
Not you. Stay, Leo. I need your wisdom.
I'll go.
Just give me a second because I want to upload a couple of images.
All right.
I bet. Let me just do this real quick. Couple of images, couple of things I wanted to talk about. Shout out to my man Chaim, the contrarian. I love when he's here. Always has the controversial takes, but they're great conversation pieces.
Thanks, Jules. I appreciate it.
What's up, Chaim?
What's going on, guys? What's up to the panel? Respect to all y'all, man.
What's up, fellas?
Okay, so for non-boxing, he posted this tweet. And it was sent to me, you know, they wanted me to react to it. So, you know, basically the tweet reads, wait, fucking balls. All right, give me a second. I'm old. All right, there it is. The tweet basically reads, how is it that Terrence Crawford can sell 120,000 on pay-per-view, Canelo can sell 800,000, Fury can sell 500,000, Joshua over 1 million, many times over, but the Pirates can only find a way to steal from Deontay, Gervonta, and Errol? Real convenient. What do you guys make of that?
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
So is he?
That
So
is-
first, I got a first
Hold
question.
on.
So is he admitting that those numbers are real? Then are he admitting that Wilder, Davis, and Spence are not selling? Then because that's what it sounds like from me. Is he admitting then that they're not selling?
Well, I want to, in the spirit of objectivity, which is what they teach us on my planet, I was contacted by someone earlier today by way of social media after I uploaded my video about Rick's number. And I was contacted by someone who's in the know. And basically what they tried to tell me was that that's not the number, that the actual number is several times over. However, I'm not readily believing that individual because they work for. So I'll play devil's advocate. How can two things be true at the same time? The only way that I can reconcile Rick's number being true, because I don't think he's lying, I really don't. The only way I can reconcile it is if the 61,000 is cable and satellite, but there are other buys digital. You know, because that's the way things are now. You know, I mean that some of the buys are going to come from conventional cable and satellite, but other buys might be digital, you know, through the app, you know, stuff like that. Or they could be via pay-per-view.com or Fight TV. You know, so that's the only way I can explain two things being true at the same time. But that's if I believe that individual, which, you know what, you work for those people. And that's why I don't believe it.
Exactly. And this has to be said real quick, Jules. This has to be said. When you make videos about Wilder's pay-per-view numbers, that individual was nowhere to be found. When you've been making pay-per-views about these sub 100,000 pay-per-view buys, that person was nowhere to be found. Secondly, we've seen videos from Fanon and that ilk saying that they steal the fights, and then on one hand saying, we're not hackers, we don't know how to steal the fights. So we know what it is. We know there's a certain section of fans that scream and holler, but when it comes down to time to put money up for that side, they don't want to put no money up.
Well, here's the thing. Now, those guys like to come up with this international conspiracy theory against them all the time, like as if somebody's out to get their fighters, and you know, it's just total conspiracy. You hear it repeatedly every time something goes wrong.
And not to mention, real quick, Jules, didn't we do a live where we bought Spence's fucking pay-per-view?
Exactly. Like, listen, the funniest shit is nobody can accuse me of being too biased because I bought two of Spence's pay-per-views. I bought the Porter pay-per-view. I bought the Ugas pay-per-view. The one I didn't buy was Mikey Garcia. I didn't buy that because that's garbage. And I didn't buy the Danny Garcia because I'm sorry, bro. You need to pay me to watch Danny Garcia. I'm not watching him.
Yeah, he actually did worse than Frankie Sanchez.
You need to pay me to watch him because I'm not just going to be watching Frankie Sanchez just because. I want to go to Chaim with this shit. I want to go to Chaim. First, let me read the super chat.
Before that,
a crook will always accuse others of what they do, kind of like Jarrell Miller accused Anthony Joshua of using performance-enhancing drugs. All right? Now, I want to go to Chaim with this thing. Chaim, what is this tweet? What's your interpretation of this tweet?
Well, my interpretation of the tweet is like coming from Fanon, it is a bit shocking, but I think it's a truthful tweet. It makes sense. I don't see how only these guys are getting robbed. And also, if you want to deviate from the $61,000 1,000 buys, main Fox is bigger than their little streaming service or whatever, or Fight Hype or whatever. So the biggest numbers would have came from Fox itself. It wouldn't have came from its extremities. So that tells me that this number is close.
Remember, Chaim, Fox is not involved, Chaim. Fox is not involved. This was a Showtime.
Oh, Showtime. Okay, Showtime. I'm sorry. Showtime. Showtime, there's no extremities that's going to get a bigger base than actual Showtime. You know what I mean? Showtime is 20 million,
I
25 million subscribers.
I don't disagree with you, but the way it breaks down now is a little differently because Showtime has an app. So if you purchase, let's say you got the app, but you don't actually have cable, you just subscribe to the app.
Yeah.
Well, that means if you make the purchase, it's going to be digital. Whereas a person who has cable, conventional cable, and a lot of Americans are cutting.
They'll be counted under that 61,000. I agree.
Exactly. So what I'm thinking is, how can two things be true? That's just me playing devil's advocate, because if I'm being honest, I could believe it. I could believe that 61 is the number. But if I'm playing devil's advocate, how is it possible for two things to be true? Well, the 61 might be cable and satellite, but the other buys are digital. And
I hear your point. What I'm saying is, even with the digital buys, the digital audience that Showtime may have, their bread and butter is still the main Showtime. If the main Showtime numbers come out as 61,000, that looks real shaky. What's the digital buys? If the digital buys are less people than the main Showtime subscribers, which they are, I gotta say 61,000 to what, another 40,000 with your digital subscribers, you're still only at 100,000. You still are flop. You're still looking horrible. Something's going on for him to get those type of numbers. Only numbers we got is 61,000. For a while to get 77, like, what's going on? Like, their entire situation is flopped, and it was back to what one of the panelists has said the last time I was on. We are looking at the beginning of the reset. This is the beginning of the reset.
Exactly.
Can I
Jules,
respond?
can I play devil's advocate to your devil's advocate?
Yeah,
You said what you said, but it's indicative. If Jake Paul, who's a bigger star than Tank Davis, and Anderson Silva, who's a bigger combat star than Tank, if they couldn't crack 100,000, and their profiles are bigger than his.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but you know that those are. I'm not disagreeing, but also we have to factor in that those are different core demographics. You know that Jake Paul's audience is not boxing fans; those are children. Like that. His audience in general is children that don't necessarily consume a conventional boxing match, which is why. But it is a valid point that he does have more of a profile, and even he wasn't selling that much on that network. Even he wasn't selling that much.
Well, I got a question too. Sorry, real quick. What is he implying in this though? So it seems like to me this is he's making some sort of veil implication. He's listing these guys that are popular, more mainstream boxers, and then almost like these other guys who are vilified as being almost like victimized because they're the villains. What is he implying by this in your opinion?
What he's implying is that everybody else
time, fellas, it's like 10 people up here. All right, go ahead, Virtuoso.
No, I just wanted to say this. Look, I believe a lot more people watched the fight on Showtime than they bought it. And even by their standards, the Showtime standard, Nielsen ratings, it was 0.2. That's not good. So there's even levels to this shit. How bad this is, if that's true. It's 61,000.
Yeah, the replay ratings came out today. I retweeted it to Jules actually.
Right. Let me just add this. First of all, how's everybody doing? Listen, those people, those people who don't buy those pay-per-views, because I was just in a car crash earlier today. I just came out of hospital. I fucked up my shoulder, dislocated it.
Are you pulling out your next fight?
Are you still going to play German? Or are you going to go to Dubai?
You're pulling out of your fight?
Listen. I would rather be in that car crash again.
We need proof that you got an accident.
Listen, I'd rather be in that accident again and dislocate my other shoulder than fucking pay for that pay-per-view. That's why.
Now let me say this. Let me just add this. Because I'm kind of with Villain on this in the sense that it sounds like Fanon is trying to make it sound like it's a conspiracy when really it's not. The fighters in the top tier, the fighters that he mentions at the beginning, right? Well, Terrence Crawford fought Sean Porter on the biggest sports network in the country. That has something to do with that. Not saying that Terrence Crawford is a huge draw, but ESPN is the biggest sports network in the country. And there were more people that wanted to see Crawford versus Porter than Davis versus random Dominican guy. I'm sorry, and I'm Dominican, by the way, so don't hit me with no bullshit. Yeah. Nobody know that man.
Joe, you just
Listen.
make a very valid
Can I add
point
something?
because. Go ahead, brother. I'll go after you.
I was gonna say that to me, when I first saw this, when you posted this, I started laughing because this is just a delicious morsel of cope. Because what he's doing is that he's essentially admitting that Deontay, Gervonta, and Errol aren't big stars, and that their fans steal fucking fights.
Yeah.
Crawford's last pay-per-view didn't do huge numbers, but hey, at least it wasn't $75. So that's
Well,
why
I looked around, bro. I looked one at a time. I looked around, Julio, and the number for Crawford's pay-per-view is 120,000 buys on Black Prime.
Yeah, because it's a better fight, and it's not like it's not overpriced. Like
Now,
he's just
to be-
admitting that
Julius just
Deontay
Julius made the point.
overpriced and uninteresting fights. That's why people don't buy them. I'm sure Canelo, Fury, Joshua, all their fights still get pirated, but they're still able to sell because they're in interesting fights.
Well,
Or
Jules
they
made
built the fan base.
Jules made the point. How long was Terrence Crawford on ESPN?
Years, bro. Years.
You take that into account. He's on the biggest sports platform. The guys he fought were global guys on pay-per-view. He fought Amir Khan. He fought Kell Brook. Those two guys he fought have bigger global profiles than anybody Spence fought on a domestic pay-per-view. Secondly, Secondly, those pay-per-views were digital, so 120 is still a fucking profitable fucking pay-per-view.
Well, they don't. I don't think that people factor in the nuance that when ESPN does a pay-per-view, at least it's my understanding that they're basically their own distributor. You know, so they see more of their own money as opposed to having to give 40% to the cable and satellite company of whatever comes in. That the breakdown between when Showtime does a pay-per-view and when ESPN Plus does a pay-per-view, it's different. That's my understanding.
Rick Glazer was breaking that down on Coach Malachi's show earlier today. He said the exact same thing. He said that they don't have to give up any of the money because they're dealing with everything in house. So there's a lot more money that's going to be given out. Like the fighter may only see $8 for each of those only 10% of say an $80 fight. So these guys, even though they're only going to sell 120, it can become a lot more profitable because everything is kept in home.
So the differentiating term. Go ahead, Joseph.
And it's the same principle with Black Prime. Black Prime was their own distributor of their own pay-per-view. So if they do 120,000, which no, it's not a great number, they're seeing more of that money than if you do it on Showtime. Well, they got to divide it up between them and their distributor, whoever that is, which is that 40% you always hear about that. They're going to take 40% of whatever comes in. So don't get it in your head that if it does 225, all of that 225 and all that money goes into the fighter's pocket or goes into the outfit's pocket. No, there's people to pay. Nobody's putting on pay-per-views for no reason. They're putting them on because they want to make money.
Jules, quick question.
Go
ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I just said one thing. Go for it.
No, I wanted to say, quick question. Does Benavidez Plant do better numbers than every PBC fight this year?
That is a really good question. Honestly, it is, because I'm wondering, do the Chicano fans get behind him and buy it? That's my question, because if anybody's gonna, Caleb doesn't have fans, like, I'm not knocking him. I don't want to be fucked up, but I'm just saying that he doesn't have a consumer base.
Maybe he doesn't have fans, but to answer our call, this is where he does have fans. This is where Caleb Plant might be a superstar.
You think that people are going to support him, Hayam? That's not sarcasm.
Just hear me out.
I'm asking, do you think that he has a consumer base?
No, I don't. But just hear me out. I think he might have fans in our regard as us, the people on this panel right now, the boxing fans.
Mm-hmm.
He is fighting a fight that against a fighter that we want to see him fight, and it's basically a 50-50 fight, and it's on and popping. This is what we want as boxing fans. This is what we want. I think now boxing fans turn their head and become more of a Benavidez and Plant fan, because we tired of the Gervonta Tank Davis. We tired of all the the foolishness, Tyson Fury. We tired of the foolishness. So when we finally get what we want, maybe some of us actually do wake up and buy.
I got a question. How deeply is Benavidez rooted with the Chicano fans? That was the question, because I know he has
as the only Chicano on the panel, he is not rooted. He's considered Ecuadorian and all that other shit. Secondly, no fight in PBC this year is going to do bigger than Wilder Ruiz. That fight will get decent numbers.
I want to add
You don't think?
I want to add from
Hold on.
I want to add from the Caribbean delegation that while I don't represent the Chicanos, I actually represent the Mangu and Plátano delegation. We don't recognize David as being Mexican either. We actually look at him as being Ecuadorian.
I want to add something too off what his name is Chaim. Is that his name? I just want to say. I want to be just.
Yeah, you said it right, fam. You said it right, fam. You said it right.
Okay, I just want to add off something you said. First of all, it's very simple if you look at this. You're going to have two different sects of fans that are going to watch in bigger numbers. One is going to be people who are going to be a fan of just a boxer in general, right? You're going to have the hardcore guys who are going to watch someone like Terrence Crawford, regardless of who he fights. Then you're going to have the guys that are going to watch somebody like Canelo, right? So those are just guys who love a certain fighter, will follow them. Yeah. Then the other section of fans you're going to have are people who actually enjoy a good matchup. So again, Wilder doesn't have a lot of fans, but Wilder had a lot of eyes on him when he fought against Fury. What these guys are not understanding is when they're putting all these pay-per-views on, is they're just throwing two guys together with no story behind it. I think
that's true.
I think the Plant Benavidez fight will actually do fairly well because Plant has raised his profile on at least a national level because he did fight against Canelo, so people do recognize that. And then also the thing is that you're going to have kind of a classic two guys who've been talking a lot of shit against each other. The fight's been brewing just long enough, not oversaturated, that you're going to see actually a better return. So it's going to take either a type of guy who just loves, you got to love a certain fighter and you'll watch him no matter who, like a guy like Terrence Crawford. He's going to get 150,000 views all the time, even if he fought a wet paper bag. Or you got to take matchups. And the thing is, Tank will do very well against a guy like Ryan because that's a great matchup between two people. That's why guys like Wilder are not going to draw just against anybody. They have to have the right playing partner with them.
I think
but you guys are forgetting. You guys are forgetting when it comes to Wilder Ruiz, they're going to piggyback and clout chase Fury versus Usyk as the winner of this fight is their mandatory. And it's heavyweights. Nobody knows who Benavidez is, and a casual like that, you're not going to get 100,000 people to buy that if they wouldn't buy Tank's fight.
This is what I'm saying. We have a chance.
What's the question? The question is Wilder Ruiz versus Berlanga Plant? Is that where we are? Because if I had to choose which fight I think is going to do more at the box office, I actually think the heavyweight fight would do more at the box office.
I agree.
No, I think Chaim said was that the PBC fight is there a PBC fight that will do more pay-per-views than Plant Benavidez?
Yeah, what I was saying is that I think Benavidez Plant might do better numbers than everything that PBC puts on basically this whole year. What the reason why I was saying that was because of us, because of the desire that we have, the need that we have to see real fights. So the whole real boxing community might come out for it, and then some casuals on top of it. But now listening to y'all and catching everything that y'all saying, I'm kind of wondering, like, does Plant and Benavidez kind of, what if they do very well? It would be a chance for a amazing reset. What if Plant Benavidez does 300,000 pay-per-view buys?
Well, let's say this. Let me say this. Wait. One at a time. Let me say this, Chaim. Now, do I think it's going to do 300,000? Honestly, no. But does it need to wait? Does it need to do 300,000 to be successful? I say no, it doesn't. If the operation
you say to be successful,
I say no, because if the operational costs of the show are low, it might be able to do 150,000 and be successful. You see what I mean?
That's not what I understand what you're saying, and you're 100% correct. What I'm saying is this: for the reset, let's say it did 400,000. For the reset, that would be beautiful for all of us because it would show.
No, it wouldn't.
It
wouldn't be good for the reset.
One at a time. I know what you were about to say, Chaim.
I'm saying that would show that when we ask for fights and we get them, we pay.
Wait. What would be beautiful, and I believe it is going to do good numbers, is Devin Haney, Vasil Lomachenko.
Yeah.
That sends the right. I'm on the Devin bandwagon. because he sent a beautiful message when he went to
But
Australia.
this fight sends even better message. This fight sends an even
Nah,
better
because this fight is too late, bro. Like y'all should have did this
Bro,
in 2019 when
can
y'all
I
had
say something though real quick?
No, just hear me out. Just hear me out, guys. This fight sends a better message because they're not even champions in their fight. And this is, even though it's a little bit late, this is still Joshua versus White.
Nah. This is
Bro,
you burnt. No, this is you burnt the rice. You burnt the rice, but we're hungry, so we're gonna eat it anyway. That's what
this is dry beans, bro.
But
this sends no message. This sends no message. This is the message it sends. Showtime can't put up 7-figure purse guarantees on the regular platform. We got to throw it on pay-per-view. These dudes don't draw dick.
Exactly.
This is what it is.
Listen,
Bro,
listen.
Let me just say this real quick. Very late in the UK. Let Suwab go. Let Suwab go. Very late in the UK. Go ahead,
Bro,
Suwab.
all of you need to just calm the fuck down, bro. Relax. Let everybody speak, man. I'm only playing. So listen, Chaim just said this is Anthony Joshua versus White, but that was not a pay-per-view, if I'm not wrong.
No, that
was
was
it?
a pay-per-view. That was a pay-per-view.
It was. Oh,
That was a
shit,
pay-per-view.
man.
What? Joshua
but
Joshua
that is way
versus
too
White
late.
was a box office fight. That was a box office fight.
And that was for
fair
the
enough.
IBF title, right?
Look, like coming back to
It's
this,
for
look,
Ultimate.
we know the PBC viewers or subscribers, they do not fucking buy pay-per-views. KSI, listen, he sold I think over 350k pay-per-views, and over I think 1.2 or 1.5 million people streamed it, but still more people bought it. That's if you look at the PBCs, most of them is fucking what's it called? They don't want to pay for it, but they look at those YouTubers. They have more subscribers than they do pay-per-view sales, and they bum like the PBC all day long. Make it make sense. They just fucking cheapskates.
I know.
What I was
Can I
saying
say
is
this
that
real
if
quick?
it did 400,000, if it did 400,000, let's say out of nowhere, this one fight did 400,000. Just look at it in a vacuum for a second, but then expose it to the big picture. If this one fight did 400,000, that would be amazing and beautiful.
That would
for
be
the sport
terrible.
of boxing.
That would be
just hear me out.
terrible.
Let me just finish.
Bro, I'm hearing you, but remember,
But
You're not making no sense.
one at a time, fellas. It's like 10 people up here.
All I'm
One.
saying is that
Let me say this.
that
Let
would
me
show
say
the
this. The
boxing
reason
depth.
that's not beautiful for the sport is because this fight did not happen when it should have happened. And if you brought in 400,000 bars, not that I think it's going to do anywhere near that number.
I don't believe it.
If it did, bro, they're going to over marinate every single fight.
I understand where you're coming from with that, and you're 100% correct. Your point is valid and true, but I think I do still have a little bit of a point. I believe my point is, if you actually feed us something that we want to fucking see, even if it's a little over marinated, even if it's fucked up, we will actually pay. That would show that you got to stop this Gervonta Tank Davis bullshit. You got to stop this garbage. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm coming from with it.
All right, I see.
That's not true though, because we got Chocolatito.
Guys.
You are wrong, because we got Chocolatito Estrada 3 and didn't have to pay behind the paywall.
That's true.
We're already getting better fights that we don't have to pay.
That's true, but what was the viewership for Chocolatito 3? What was the viewership?
What you're talking about with this fight selling?
I'm saying I'm pretty sure they got
what you're talking,
subscribers.
What you're assuming is that I just think it's wishful thinking that you think that this fight has potential to be a seller, but like based on what I'm hearing, right? Are we gonna assume that Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis aren't fighting this year? That this pay-per-view is gonna be the best, like the best selling one, and Wilder Reeves is? I don't think so. If that's the case,
I am assuming just that, because we went through 5 years of just that. So I'm assuming that whatever they're talking about is bullshit and it's not going to come off. And we know this for a fact. Everybody on this panel knows everything we've been promised is lies.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we all hate that.
Why do we have to be on pay-per-views? Why does this have to be on pay-per-views in the first place?
No.
Why?
Listen.
I'm not going to enter this.
Enough of the fantasy. Let's talk reality. Rocky Balboa, are you? Y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Look,
I do.
Sadly,
look,
I do.
enough of the fantasy. Let's talk reality. That
Yeah.
fucking fight is not gonna do 300,000 buys. I'm telling you that.
I know.
now.
I know.
And I'll put and I'll you know, if you want to put we can put something on it because that fight ain't doing 300,000
No,
buys.
Jude, I was just. I
David
was
Luiz
just
Garcia has more
It's
potential to do
one
that
at a
now.
time. It's like 10 people try to talk. One at
And
a
last
time.
but
bringing it
not
up as a
least, we
talking
all
point,
hate
Phil.
burnt
That
rice.
wasn't-
All right, now the reason it ain't is because of when. You think about March, that's not the only box office fight, unless I'm mistaken. That's not the only box office fight that might go down in March. And even if it is, it's too close to the other fights. It's too close. If Ryan Garcia, hypothetically, is supposed to be going down in April, well, people gonna be saving their money for that. They are. They're gonna be worried about that more than Spence versus whatever. Like, I don't even know what that bullshit is gonna do. But that's the fight. That if there's a fight that has a gravitational pull greater than all the surrounding fights, it's Ryan versus what's his face? It's Ryan
If
versus
they were
Ryan versus
smart,
Tank.
if they were smart, Benavidez Plant would be the co-main to Wilder versus Ruiz.
Now let me read
And-
this super chat. Chicano here, and I'm voting for Plant. Will says, I thought David was from Arizona. Bro, that dude is from Ecuador, bro. That dude ese tipo no es mexicano.
I mean, Jules, you put Plant Benavidez on the Wilder undercard, that helps.
Bro, that's a co-main event at best, bro. To be real with you, that is a co-main event at best. Honest to God. Honestly, that's not a main event to me. That is an interim title fight. Give me a break. Give me a fucking break. It's an interim title fight. That's a co-main.
Julius,
That should be the co-main for.
Hey, Jules,
like,
real
when
quick.
he said that, a fucking light bulb hit him. Like, yeah, yo, that shit is a co-main at best. What's the undercard for that shit gonna look like? What's it gonna look like?
Julius, I
Can they,
have a
like shit.
question.
can they afford to put it as a co-main? Can they
Should-
afford to put it as
All
a
right,
co-main?
before I pass it to Leo, this is the thing.
Yeah.
Should
That's a
you
good
have to pay two guys that ain't champions an arm and a leg?
No.
Understand.
Absolutely not.
If
They
you had a Derek Chisora thing going on, I could see. You literally, neither of you have that going on. Caleb doesn't, like, you don't have a cult following. Derek has enough people behind him that he can get at the M's by himself without Fury. He could get at least 2 M's by himself, just getting out there. Y'all motherfuckers don't have that going on. So just the fact that y'all think y'all got it going on like that, that's why your company fucked up. Because a lot of that shit y'all finna put out, which a lot of that shit is pay-per-views, a lot of that shit ain't gonna do nothing. A lot of that shit.
I agree. How you gonna put the two of them plus Wilder and Ruiz all on the same card? You know how much that card gonna cost?
This goes back to
but
that Twitter.
this is the thing. My thing is, I'm not disagreeing with you because I'm in agreement that, you know what, between what they want, what he wanted, what he wanted, what he wanted, what he wanted, this shit gonna be through the roof. But my thing is, you co-main guys, you need to. I got a Kevin Samuels, y'all. In other words, you need to lower your standards. You're not all that. Fuck you think you're choosing signals? Choosing signals, bro.
It
You
goes
got
back.
knocked
I agree
out.
with you 100%.
It goes back. Remember, Jules, when we had that Twitter back and forth with Espinosa about, bro, what's the budget? How many cards you doing this year, and how many more are pay-per-view? And he lawyerly said, well, the pay-per-view's up to the promoter. I don't have a say in that. That let me know right there that the fucking budget was cut in half again, and they're not putting 7-figure fighters on regular Showtime anymore.
The point that I'm making is that at best, Caleb, and I'm being generous, is $1 million fighter at best, at his very best. And I say $1 million because one at a time, fellas. At minimum, you can give him $1 million and he can bring it back. Same with David. You can give him $1 million or a little over $1 million and he can bring it back. You know, with everything, he can bring it back. But it shouldn't get to a point where, because essentially that means, okay, $2 million on the co-main. You should be able to do that, but you can't because these guys think they're stars. You think you a star? Like, no, fam. Like, literally, you not. We should be able to put you on the co-main event to help sell this Wilder pay-per-view because together as a package, it's actually solid. You know, Plant versus Benavidez and Wilder versus Ruiz as a main event. That's beautiful, bro. I would be happy to buy that. But it shouldn't be, we got to separate them because they want this. And he like, nah, fam, y'all, nobody fuck with y'all like that. Really, though, nobody fuck with y'all like that.
When they come together, Caleb Plant and Benavidez, like you said, they're $1 million fighter each, let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
When they come together, do they create the type of fireworks that turns into $5 million? For example, I'll give you an example. Loma and Devin, they about $3 million fighters each. When they come together, maybe they make $20 million. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the number. Do they have that explosivity together where they're going to make way more than you would have valued them individually as?
Look, because of the position that they're in, right? Even if that's the case, let's say that the fight between them creates a synergy that amplifies the both of their value. You still play it safe to stay in the black. That, we know that this fight will sell, but we're going to play it safe. Keep the operational costs low so that there is an upside. Because if I guarantee you all this, and then I got to guarantee him all that, and him all that, well, then we ain't never going to break even because all of y'all think...
I agree with you 100%. I just want to know, do they have the explosivity together, the synergy, the amplifier, like you said? Do they have that together when you put Plant versus Benavidez together to make double what their individual values were?
No.
Do they have that?
I'm going to say no. No. I'm going to say no, and here's why I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because if I look across the landscape and I look for a fight that's the same or better, I'm going to find it, and it's not a pay-per-view. What am I talking about? Bivol versus Ramirez, Better B versus Yard. Those two fights, that's the like
Better B versus Yard isn't better.
I'm gonna say that it's not that it's head and shoulders better, right? But it's like, bro, you're not gonna tell me that these two guys that they all that like that. No, you're not, bro. I saw you get knocked out. I literally saw you get knocked out.
Yeah.
Now I did see Yard get knocked out, but hey, that ain't a pay-per-view. This is. And you telling me to watch you potentially get knocked out again? I gotta give you $80 again?
And Jules, you just said it. Let's say they do the pay-per-view. Look when they're fucking doing it. You got Canelo coming back. You got Loma fucking Haney. You got Wilder Ruiz. You got Thurman Spence. Like, tell them motherfuckers to fuck off and fight on the undercard.
And that's the
There's
other
no
thing.
synergy. There's no data that shows them two dudes are draws.
And that's the other thing. And that's the other thing. Devin Haney, like, look, I fuck with Canelo and that's cool, right? But the fight that got me feeling it, like, ooh, I can't wait, is Haney Lomachenko. More than Garcia versus Davis. More than Canelo versus whoever, bro. Whatever. And fuck Spence, like, bro, fuck out, just fuck you. The fight that I'm hyped off is Haney Lomachenko.
Right.
That's the fight.
Now, that's just a personal preference. But let me wrap higher about this shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Lukowicz said this 3 years ago that the fight between Benavidez and Plant is bigger down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Now I look at 160. I explained this yesterday. I look at 168 as the housing market in Tornado Alley. You know who was a tornado? Canelo. And Lukowicz overstated their value. That these guys are going to be bigger stars, so there's going to be bigger money that down the road. That did not happen. Instead, they wound up fighting fucking has-beens or fucking no-hopers that nobody was interested in. And then along the way, Plant lost his belt to Canelo. And now he's fought. And Benavidez, he fucked himself with the fucking drug.
When the drugs.
Can I add something to that? Like, I think you have a point because, like, that's when I know something. Like, I'm skeptical of its potential because they're basically relying on Canelo to co-promote the fight. However way you look at it, like as they're like basically trying to line up Benavidez as a legitimate future opponent.
Is that
and they're also relying on
JBN. Rather than cancel themselves out, they chose to stay neutral.
I know. Is that an advantage or a disadvantage? Is that an advantage or a disadvantage in this particular instance?
It would have worked as an advantage because when Canelo was, I think before he was WBC like champion, right? Canelo, Avni Yildirim was Benavidez' mandatory, and he was
Yes.
supposed to fight him. It didn't went out that way, because he lost the belt in the scales. Again, you cannot fool around with this stuff. You got to strike when the iron is hot, because you don't know when
100%
when you
Real
guys gonna
quick
lose the belt or when you're gonna piss
Coach
hot.
Malachi, from Coach Malachi. Coach Malachi's in the
Go ahead.
chat. He said we got over 200 people in the chat, no less than 50 likes. It's unacceptable. Hit the damn like button.
Word.
Look,
Sometimes
let's leave Benavidez and Plant at this. In all seriousness, I'm probably gonna buy the fight just because I'm able to flip the fight. That's literally that's probably the only reason I'm gonna buy the fight, because I can literally sit here and watch the fight and make in excess of what it costed me to buy it. So that's probably the only reason I'm gonna buy it. But in all actuality, I have to say, in the value for money argument to the consumer, no, this is not value for money. You got a better fight than this last year, and it wasn't a pay-per-view. Bivol Ramirez. That was a way better fight than this. They were both unbeaten. Yeah, I mean, there was an air of spontaneity, and there was actually a real title on the line. All right? This fight is not better than that fight. Like, really, though. On paper, nah, it's not. You got knocked out by Canelo, right? Right. Canelo knocked you out, and Bivol schooled him. And I didn't have to pay pay-per-view to see Bivol school Ramirez. So, I mean, really, this fight, I feel it would be lucky to I feel this fight would be lucky to do 200,000 buys. I think it would be lucky.
Jules, you're 100% correct. Everything you said is correct, and I agree with you. I think sometimes when I be talking to y'all, I think I be really thinking that I'm really like pro this or pro that. Sometimes I'm just trying to hear your perspectives or what y'all thinking about the actual boxing game. My question to y'all was, what if this particular fight ends up doing better numbers than every other fight this on PBC this year? So like, just
it's a little hard to imagine.
I'm not saying that it's gonna do those numbers. I don't believe that it's gonna do.
Go ahead, Leo. Go ahead, Leo.
You know,
Look, for me, this fight is it's not about the pay-per-view numbers. For me, it's about the outcome, because if from a promotional company standpoint, the only favorable result in this fight is Benavidez knocking the fuck out.
Yeah.
Plant, because Benavidez needs to fight Canelo to cross over, or at least try to.
Yeah.
And there never was a legitimate demand for Canelo, because Canelo responds to the fans, but his fans, not the broke motherfuckers on Twitter, the fans that pay for his fights. And those guys, they never were asking for Benavidez, really. But if Benavidez goes dead and splatter Plant, now we're talking, because if you can do better, there is it's not about the mandatory position, it's not about the belt, it's about performing. And everyone is talking about Benavidez. Okay, this is your time to prove it. And
Agreed.
oh, I'm fighting with Leo. I'm fighting.
It's a valid point that this is more about It really is more about performance than the mandatory. Because it's all bullshit. Like, it's Canelo, bro. Like, he does what he wants. But if you can really galvanize the fans with your performance, then that's an ace in the hole for you, and you need one, because you've done fuck all in this division through 2 cycles of champions, and it's time, bro. Like, yeah, it's time. You need to do something. Now, I want to segue. I know that this is not really that important a story, but, I got to talk about it. I don't feel like doing a segment about the shit on the relay. I've been, kind of just procrastinating. Broner's fighting Hank Lundy instead of Ivan Redkach. And, the story with
I'd rather
Ivan,
talk about that than Plant Benavidez.
the story is that basically Joe DeGuardia, he wanted to restructure the existing deal, and in Ivan's own words, whether you believe him or not, he basically screwed the pooch for him. That he wanted 30, then he wanted 35%, plus he wanted a cut of all the sponsorships, yada yada yada, all this shit. So that's why he's not fighting, basically, because he wouldn't stand to make very much money from the fight. So now Hank Lundy is standing in his place. Does this affect the buy rate?
It'll be the exact same buy rate it was before. It's literally a tune-up fight to see if Broner. The only reason you tune in to watch this fight is to see if Broner still has anything left in the gas tank you could pull anybody out of the crowd and put them in there, and all they're looking for is to see if Broner still actually has
Bill, let me
any life
correct you.
to
This
him or
fight
not.
is not a tune-up; it's a tuna. Okay.
It's a tune out.
Ain't nothing
Good
gonna
word.
happen. Ain't nothing gonna happen with that fight. And Hank Lundy standing in ain't gonna make a difference. I mean, sorry, but
You're taking
I'm gonna-
taking one shit product and inserting a new shit product.
Those of us
for the
that were
forgetting one
buying
thing.
it were buying it for Broner, not nobody
Yeah.
else.
I'm tuning
But
up my
y'all forgetting one
VPN for
thing.
that fight.
Y'all forgetting one thing. This press conference is going to be equal or close to Harrison versus Charlo.
Yeah, because Hank Lundy could talk some shit.
Hank Lundy talks shit. This press conference is going to be lit.
Yeah, like on some real shit. Like Broner and Ivan Redkach, a press conference with them, man, that's a half-cooked hot pocket, man. That shit is whatever.
Stale
Ivan
garbage.
Redkach is a very strange guy, by the way. So I mean, like, but Hank Lundy could talk some shit. Like Hank Lundy, he can sell at least the press conference. He could talk some shit.
Yeah, he
It's
said
gonna
you
be
going to
two
feel every
guys
bit
who
of me.
shouldn't be
What
Remember
I
he
don't
was talking
get,
to Crawford?
Jules,
He said you're going to feel every bit of me. Remember he was talking to Crawford?
well, Jules, what I
Wait for
don't
that
get is
shit,
why
though.
are fighters still signing with Joe LaGuardia? Look what he did to Andrade. Now Redkach.
No, I mean, shit. Honestly, yeah, like you know that a bit. For those that don't know, Joe DeGuardia, Andre was with Joe DeGuardia. That when he pulled out of the Charlo fight, that's who he was with. Joe DeGuardia, Star Promotions. That was the mastermind behind that, pulling out of that Charlo fight. And I understood the argument that I'm a champion, but everybody else on the card is making more than me. I get it, but who here can really say that that's a decision that aged well? Who thinks that pulling out of that fight was the right decision?
I think you're asking a question that you already know the answer. It was a terrible decision.
I'm just wondering if anybody feels
No.
different.
Anybody who hasn't had a lobotomy doesn't feel different.
Exactly. Exactly. That's
Because they
I
the ones that
love what
told him.
Villain's on here. Villain has a smug fucking answer when something's beneath his intelligence, and I love it.
Bro, I survived a lobotomy and I feel that way.
No, I mean, honestly, because it's like that's who he was with. And look, whether different opinions about Joe DeGuardia and what he did, because I saw some people arguing in favor of it. I saw some people arguing against it. But in a nutshell, Ivan Redkach being substituted or altered or, having an alternate, whatever, bro. Nobody was tuning in to see you anyway, bro. So that's kind of how I felt about that. But I did wonder, does it affect the buy rate? And can Broner still sell fights? That's the other question.
We're
No,
gonna find out.
absolutely not.
Now, I got a question for you, Jules.
Okay. Oh,
Let me ask him this, Jules. What does Team Fulton get to gain by clout chasing if these fucking talks are fucking just that bullshit?
Listen, this is what happens, all right? If all this talk and all this hoopla and you got people excited, if anything happens to this fight, they're not going to blame Inoue because Inoue ain't ever been for the grab assing. Like, literally, he make fights with very little issues, man. Like, honestly, very little issues. The only minimal issue he's ever had was with Casimero, but that's because Casimero went to the PBC. Other than that, there have really been no issues. So if anything happens to this fight, the general consensus, the blame is going to go to Fulton, whether you like it or not, whether it's fair or not. Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
And that's what Fury doesn't understand. That's what Tyson Fury doesn't understand. Usyk has always been a straight arrow.
Mm-hmm.
So you could pop that shit all you want, but we know you're a liar. This
Exactly.
guy is focused. This guy is serious. You're a liar, dog.
I legitimately think that the PBC will have Fulton even fake pretend like there's some sort of negotiation just so their name and the product is out there. I mean, I'm dead serious because I still believe, honestly, there was no intention that Heyman was going to make the fight with Spence, and it brought a lot of eyes to their product for a whole entire year. So I don't think it's anything different than that, in my opinion.
You're right, because Danny Garcia.
Everybody shut up. The great Leo yesterday, he gave a scenario that was a very plausible scenario. And that's a big part of why I'm skeptical, because that could be what we're looking at, Leo, for those that missed it. Enlighten us. What could this be?
I think PBC has it can always find a way to fuck up in the negotiation table. And after they do their thing, most likely talking about the percentage where the fight is gonna be, and fuck the fight, is gonna go to fight Luis Neri, and in that fight, is for me is more than likely that gets injured, and is gonna be out for a while. And being out with an injury, he can save face. He can say after, no, I'm gonna came back for the WBO. This is not over, but whatever. But that's for me. That's a way Fulton gets away with this, because in certain way this looks like he's trying to save face. It's like, okay, let's talk about the fight at least. But PBC doesn't do this shit.
I agree, they do. I agree, they don't. Which
Can I
leads
pose
me.
a question?
Wait. I want to pose a question. Who here actually believes the fight is going to happen?
I don't think so.
I don't.
When's the last time you heard?
Sorry,
And,
guys, I
and
fell
again,
out.
correct me if I'm wrong. When's the last time you heard the PBC working with anybody outside of their own platform?
See, I think it will
fight
happen if, on the condition that this is true, and this is what I wanted to ask, is like, if what's been said is true, that Fulton had to like buck Al Heyman and basically tell him, like, if you don't get out of the way of this fight, like, I'm gonna air you out. Like, what are the implications of that? Because that's the only way I see this fight happening. Because I mean, yeah, if it's in Japan, it definitely means that they're negotiating directly and that Al Heyman is
Julio,
involved.
what are you saying? Are you saying you think the fight is going to happen?
Yeah, under that condition, if that's true, because that's what Steve Kim basically said, that like Stephen Fulton had to like tell Al Heyman to fuck
Yeah,
off.
and I'm to confirm that with Steve in about 20 minutes.
So what do you
Please
think of
do.
that though? Like,
You
that's what
better
I
get
wanted to
Steve on
ask.
here, Drew, don't fucking play with me. You better get Steve on here.
Well, that's why I wanted to
On
ask.
here, I'll get Dougie on
I'm gonna
here.
go to the West Coast correspondent country. No bullshit. Gun to your head. Does this fight happen?
I don't think so. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Oh,
Too much bullshit going on. You know, first he was gonna go up and fight Fig, and then he clout chased using his name. Now he's talking about it, but man, too much bullshit. If they really wanted to fight, they would go straight to it.
All right, I'm gonna go to our Oklahoma correspondent. Villain, gun to your head. Does this fight happen?
I was born in Oklahoma. I live in Omaha, but no, the fight doesn't happen.
You don't believe it happens. Then what
No.
is this?
I told you what it was. It's just them keeping their name in consumers' mouths. That's all it is. They don't make fights like this. It doesn't happen. They don't do this.
That's true.
I want it to happen, but I don't believe it will. Call me
Right,
crazy.
I'm in that camp.
All right. New York correspondent Virtuoso, gun to your head. Does this fight happen?
I'm gonna say it does happen. I don't think you just go into negotiations just like that and they come away with nothing. I mean, this is for big money, and it's like this is for future. So, no excuses. They have to make this fight.
So you believe it happens?
Yeah.
Chile correspondent Leo, as concisely as you can. Gun to your head. Does this fight happen?
No, I don't think this fight happens. I think this is a way to, like I said before, this is a way to save face. Like people were asking Fulton, you don't want to fight Inoue? And Inoue Fulton was like, okay, let's talk about the fight with Inoue at least. But Inoue I think it's fair to say that Inoue is the A side in the fight.
Eso se sabe, tiene que ser.
Yeah. So Inoue was going to want to impose his terms. The most likely scenario of that fight is going to be in Japan, and Stephen Fulton and his team are going to be difficult, and that negotiation is going to fail. And that's it.
Let me read the super chat. Rider of the Storm says it's not going to happen. This is a tactic that always happens with the PBC. The fight will fall out and announce the Figueroa versus Fulton rematch. Hyam, Bronx correspondent.
All right, let's get to it. I really want to look at what Stephen Fulton's contract looks like and what's the duration of his contract. But I say the fight happens because Japan money is gone, and the fight has to happen in Japan. I'm tired of this stupidity with Jermell Charlo and Zoo. You know what I'm talking about.
That's
that fight should have always happened in Australia. Al Heyman,
I agree with you.
Retarded. If this fight happens in Japan, which it should, it only makes sense for it to happen there. I think the fight does happen, and I think Inoue knocks him out. Yeah, let's get to that.
That's
Let's
top cold, bro.
Right, so let's. All
I
right, so
think.
let's get. All right,
I
now shut
think.
the fuck up.
Real quick. Go ahead. I think Stefan wants it to happen. I think Stefan is tired of like the duck talk. Like, bro, we calling you pussy because you was running your mouth and you from Philly, bro. You talking all that cash shit, and then now all of a sudden it's like you
But
caught. Like
Drew-
now all of a sudden.
Drew,
But no, I think Joel. I think Fulton.
Wait a goddamn minute. When the fuck did PBC fighters get all this goddamn autonomy?
Going greasy here.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think Fulton wants it.
When did this all of a sudden? Because you want to fight, the fight's going just like that, right? So all these years of bullshit.
And I'm gonna take what I heard from Jake and what Steve texted me at face value. That where else is Fulton gonna get 7 figures from, Jules?
Yeah.
I have a question, guys.
Japan is Japan for real.
Bro, they got vending machines.
And there's a
They got
rematch
vending
clause.
machines over there that sell used underwear.
Go ahead, Leo.
Yo,
No. Wait.
It's a rematch clause. Think
We haven't
about it.
Go ahead, Leo.
Have we having this conversation before? The PBC fighters fucking up fights for a fuck ton of money to fight a bomb in a PBC bomb.
That's true. We
have
have.
we having this conversation like 15 times?
Luis Ortiz, Adam Kovnowski.
You know what?
Wilder.
To
Wilder.
answer the question about
$100 million.
Hey, to answer the question about where's the only other place that Fulton could possibly get the money from? Maybe
7-Eleven playing scratch offs.
No, the Saudis. Maybe.
Yeah, but for what fight? For what fight?
Yeah, with who?
For Inoue.
Not Brandon Figueroa.
No.
Maybe MJ.
What?
I'm talking about for him and Inoue.
Look, this is the thing. This is why I'm very.
Japan would never allow that to happen.
This is why I'm very skeptical. All of a sudden, it's a complete 180 from everything I expect. And I've always lived by the principle that timing is everything. The timing of this move is, so you wanted to like surprise people. Because that's what I see. Oh, you're like trying to surprise people by doing the unexpected. They didn't expect Fulton to fight him, but it's not for no reason. It's not because we're bad people or we're jumping to conclusions. The news literally was you petitioned for approval from the WBC for Fulton versus Figueroa. That was the news. That's why we thought he wasn't going to fight Inoue. And then all of a sudden, complete 180. I don't believe you.
See, I was you yesterday.
I add that, Jules. I add that, and then Al's gonna want to fucking say it needs to be on Showtime in the States when Inoue should call all the shots. That should be an ESPN fight, not Showtime.
It's like, yo, listen. You don't have nothing. There is not a single fight that you can make for that fighter that has the profile, the money that he can make from this fight. So you need to let him go. Let him go. Period. Don't fuck this up. Let him go. And if he comes back a hero, then you got yourself a star.
Yeah, then you can build them after that. The unbeatable guy out in Japan.
This is the exact opportunity Devin Haney had, but with more profile. If Fulton wins the first fight and the rematch, he's a bankable fucking star over here where he can make decent fucking 7-figure paydays.
Because it's hard for me. It's hard for me to remember that, and I would have picked Gary Russell to beat the fuck out of Josh Warrington. By the way, he would have beat the fuck out of him. And Gary was offered $1 million to go over there. And Gary, this is out of Gary's mouth, not Eddie's. This is out of Gary's mouth. He rejected $1 million offer to go over there. And I say, wait a minute, you couldn't get that to 1.5?
Fulton wins that fight. He can come back over here and they can build that fight as a pay-per-view and a rematch.
Let me land the plane. Gary could have got $2 million out of Eddie Hearn. I firmly believe that. If you would have been on board, like you want me to go where for $1 million, make it 2. Make it 2. I'm over there, right? I believe he could have did that. And he beats the fuck out of Josh Warrington. This was back when Josh had the belt. And I'm like, yo, who mic is that? You rejected that. And this is the exact opposite of that. And it's hard for me to believe that everything I've been seeing always goes a certain way. It doesn't matter how much money you offer the guy. They offered Luis Ortiz, what, $6-7 million? They offered Gervonta $8 million for Tevin Farmer. They offered Charlo $7 million for Andrade. They offered Kovnowski approximately 5 or 6 for AJ. These guys always say no, and I'm just supposed to take this. They're like, yeah, yo, Stephen is different.
That's what I'm asking. That's what I wanted to say though. Is like, because I was you yesterday, but this new detail has me thinking that it could happen. Is like if he's literally telling Al Heyman, "Fuck off," like stop getting in the way. Does that open up a new consensus where like writers on the PBC are bold enough to do that now?
Do you
to
see
say get out of the way?
So the people that think this fight ain't gonna happen, this news break, they just put it out there to pacify, fans that are reacting negatively to him moving up to face Figueroa again.
I mean, this is my thing. The shit that these guys do is silly. It is a lot of silly shit. Like, no cap, silly shit.
Yeah.
Gervonta Davis said that Al Heyman told him, he basically talked him out of taking the Tevin Farmer money. And I'm like, that does like bro, he would have beat Tevin Farmer. He would have knocked him out.
Yes.
Unification match.
Because it's about
Good money.
I don't like the way that they do business. Or I'm not even going to say they, because he's screwing them for himself. You see what I mean? Like, it's forget the fighters. They getting screwed, and either they don't know it or I don't know, but they're getting screwed. He would have went to the zone. He would have knocked out Tevin Farmer. Believe it. He would have been a unified champion. He would have made $8 million. He would have came back to the PBC a hero. Al Heyman talked him out of that. They do business backwards. So all of a sudden, I'm supposed to believe that, yeah, Stephen got Al by the balls, and he strong-armed him like, no, Al, you can't control me. I'm Stephen Fulton.
Yeah. I understand.
What if it's true?
Yeah, yesterday I was lying, but today I'm telling the truth.
I'm Stephen Fulton. You can't stop me, Al.
Yeah.
Flame on!
In all serious note, you know how somebody controls another person through abuse. It literally is that. If you're controlling the narrative with a person, you don't allow them to see that there's other things outside in the world that can be healthy or good for them. That's the way you keep somebody in control. If he goes over there and he gets $8 million, $7 million, whatever it is, he has a great time over there. He wins the fight. He's treated really well. He comes back and he sees the chaos, the issues, the money's not getting paid on time. He's like, what the fuck am I doing here? Why do I want to do this? The way that you control the narrative is you have to be in complete control, especially when things are extremely dangerous, especially when things are very toxic as well.
Yeah,
and if you let him go over there, it lifts the veil. It's Drew says it all the time, that one thing that Al doesn't want, and we are, to make it clear and to be transparent, we are speculating. I am, Drew is, but Drew said something that I always think about, that, yeah, Al don't want these guys seeing what other money look like, because then it'll fuck up his operation and what he got these guys believing in all this extra shit. If a motherfucker goes somewhere else and he make all this goddamn money and he ain't got to wait a month for it, he ain't got to wait a year for it or 2 years, because remember, Broner said that shit when he was talking to Sean Porter on a podcast, that, yo, I get my money on Monday. I ain't had to wait for it. I don't think Al want guys doing that shit.
You know why? They'll revolt on his ass. I mean, like
Exactly.
that.
Like that's why.
Dictator,
But it's
like
not
that
just the
dictator-
fighters.
Like that dictator Ceausescu. He ended up showing his people the TV program Dallas, and they end up killing his ass. They
Let me
were
ask
both.
you guys-
The one with who shot JR.
Yes, because they saw that and they saw all the stuff Americans have, and they got pissed off.
Let me ask you guys this question. One thing that really, really stuck out to me is when Terrence Crawford was talking about the back and forth with it. The thing that stuck out me to the most is he called Spence and he said, "Hey, Spence, directly, listen, I got money. I got to wait for us both to make $25 million a piece, right?" What was the one thing that Terrence Crawford said? he said that there was absolutely no way that I was going to relinquish anything whatsoever. If you were looking at what's in the best interest of your fighter as a quote unquote advisor, you would say to that person that you're advising, I want to do what's best for you and for me to make sure that good things happen. When a guy says that I am not going to relinquish that, you're an advisor, sir. So that just proves to me that if that is true, what that Terrence Crawford said, that guy's not looking in the best interest of the fighters.
What you're addressing is the conflict of interest that ensues when the same person that's supposed to be giving you advice is also brokering a deal with a network. He can't look out for the both of you. There's going to be a point where what's best for the network may not be what's best for you. Exactly. But he'll look out for the network. Why? Because the network gives him a budget. So you're going to take a back seat to that. And that is the conflict of interest that everybody over there has. They're like, bro, you can't look out for the fighters and the network. You're supposed to be the buffer between them. That's what you're supposed to be. But when you broker deals with the network, well, clearly you're not the buffer between the fighter and the platform. Right. Clearly.
And they don't just do it to the fighters. Like, they did it to Lou DiBello because he tried to get Wilder to go over to fight AJ. They froze him out entirely. And you had Steven Espinoza, who's basically he's Al's goblin-like vassal on fucking Fight Hype, basically saying, yeah, we reward loyalty and all this other shit. Like, he's some kind of mob guy. Like, yeah.
You can, at least me, and again, I hate to say something you feel because feelings usually don't mean shit with logic, but whenever I talk to or I watch anything that has to do with, say, Top Rank, I feel like when I see the interaction with the boxers and everybody else, it feels like a healthy environment. As soon as I hear anything that has to do with PBC, it feels like that they're trying to always control a narrative. They're always trying to spin something a certain way to make them look good. If things are going healthy or well, then you don't have to do those things. You don't have to tell half-truths. You don't have to lie. You don't have to manipulate. You don't have to stop. And for me, I know it's hate to say this because I hate using this word. It feels like it's just not a healthy place to be. It's not healthy business for people involved.
No, I agree with you. I feel that it's music industry. Like, honest to God, the vibe that I get when I watch it and the matchmaking and just everything that gets put out there, it reeks of music industry. It reeks of gimmicks and just saying shit to be saying shit and keeping up appearances. That's the vibe I get. And that's why, look, I would love to be wrong about this because I want to see a fight. Honestly, all I care about is seeing a fight. But I'm not sold that this thing goes down. I'm really not. I would love to be wrong. And if Stefan is really doing what he's doing, then great. But I wasn't fucking born yesterday that, oh yeah, all of a sudden, I've got you, Al. You can't control me anymore, Al. I'm the Dream Master. You ain't trying to make this the Dream Warrior. You remember Nightmare on Elm Street 3 with the Dream Warriors? Yep. This is my dream now.
Yo, Jules, let me ask you, and the panel. This is really mostly for the panel, not really mostly for you, because I'm listening to you talking about the music industry and you're talking about the politics of boxing and the foolishness. Now we got a whole nother subject. I'm kind of changing that subject, but we got a whole nother subject. We got a young guy out here that says that he's the real deal, and he says that he's coming for Mike Tyson's record. What you think about that?
No, wait. Listen. You wanted to make this about my guy, bro. You wanted to make this about Mike.
What guy?
Mike is my guy. Ain't no motherfucking Corbin Blue looking motherfucker gonna break Mike's record, bro. Who is he?
I didn't know you had this conversation. I never heard that.
No, chill. Yeah, the dude is saying, I know who it is. I seen him. The dude is trying to say that he gonna break Mike's record. You know, Mike won a title when he was 20 years old, youngest heavyweight champion.
Everybody know.
Bang. So, who you gonna win a title from then, bro? Who? Because I know you're not talking about
the landscape is this. The landscape is Usyk Gore become undisputed. That's the landscape. Usyk or Fury, we all know, or Fury will become undisputed. Neither one of them gonna hold on to the titles. The titles are gonna splinter. It's gonna trickle down to everybody. We got Joe Joyce, we got Philip Hergovic, and we got Daniel Dubois, and I don't even know who the other motherfucker we got is.
My
But it's
God, listen,
somebody
You know
else.
what? They were interviewing
listen,
this
bro.
kid.
So
He
he's
even
saying he gonna
said
beat one of them. He's
they were
saying basically he's saying he gonna beat one of them. He gonna beat one of these motherfuckers, one of these four
That
niggas,
shit ain't gonna happen.
and he
My
gonna
record,
take over.
ain't no Corbin Blue,
now here,
Blue gonna break
no,
my
but
guy's
listen,
record, bro.
I don't believe
check this
it
out.
either.
Check
But
this
but
out.
but
Check
hold
this
on,
out.
let me finish. He's saying I've sparred with all of them, and I done whooped all of their ass, and they're saying that the guy's kind of legit.
That's
They're
cool.
saying it.
That's cool.
So
they
now,
listen.
when
That's
They
okay,
all
but
he
that's
had.
sparring.
how much credence do we put in it?
Wait. Can I go? Because
Go
the
ahead.
question is for me, right? Listen,
Yeah.
bro. Tony Yoka was legit till he
Yeah.
wasn't. Audley
Got
Harrison
washed.
was legit till he wasn't. Cut the
Yeah.
crap. All your accolades is amateur shit. You got to show me, and being real with you, the way you talking, right? The kid and all this extra shit, I don't believe you. You gonna get got, bro.
You know
You
what?
gonna
They
get
were
You go,
got.
you
interviewing
got
the
two.
kid.
Don't
Bro,
get it
if
twisted.
that's
I
the
think you go, you
case,
got.
You know
My
what?
question was
why?
to ask what y'all think.
Honestly, they were interviewing the kid, and he was saying that he has no plan when he goes in the ring.
The ring, yeah, he develops it
Okay,
on the wing. I saw that.
Sound good? Sounds good.
so that sounds disastrous. Now, if that's the case, I don't know why he won't link up with King. You know, he'll get him a fucking WBA ranking just like he did with Brian. You know if you
No,
want
because
that,
he
that
was Frank
Nah, this
Warren.
guy
He
might
was
be
Frank.
special, though.
His older brother is Harold Itama, who's a light heavyweight.
Itama, yeah,
Yo, listen, B, he ain't gonna do shit. He gonna get got.
he gonna get
You
his
don't
jaw
think he's
broke.
gonna do nothing?
He ain't gonna do
They
shit, bro.
his
He ain't gonna do
his
shit.
He's not
sparring
breaking no
stories
record. He gonna get his
are
jaw broke.
legend.
That's what's gonna happen.
My man, Big Baby, gonna fuck him up.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that.
He ain't
I
ready
yeah.
can
for
see that.
jollof rice.
I can see that.
He ain't ready for jollof rice.
That's the other thing that, like, yo, the other thing is, look, we looking at the landscape now based on who the mandatories are now, right? But by the time he gets in position to fight for a title, it could be a completely different set of guys, bro.
Yeah.
It really
I
could.
agree with you.
Jared Anderson might be in position by that time.
I
Jollof
agree
Rice
with
might
you
be in position
100%.
by that time.
Hey,
My
Jules.
issue is that throughout history, what we see is not what we be normally seeing. Like we see a bunch of scrubs, and then we see a bunch of A-level guys or B-level guys. Then we see a few A-level guys. That's what we be seeing when we watching the sport in our face right now. But in history, hold on. In history, the C-level guy comes up and knocks out the A-level guy. So you got to keep your eye on everybody. In history, that's how it happens.
No, that is how it happens. Remember, Leon Spinks, Muhammad
It's
Ali,
true, yeah,
Douglas, Mike Tyson.
So you gotta be aware of
You gotta be on
everybody, and you
point.
gotta
Like
be
I see
wary.
that. I do
You
agree
know what
with
I'm
that
saying?
because it happened. It does happen. It does
It
happen.
happens.
Motherfuckers ain't expect Muhammad Ali to lose to Leon Spinks, bro. Come on now, they ain't expect that.
George Foreman was a washed-up has-been. He beat Michael Moore. That doesn't make sense.
He wasn't exactly washed up. He was old.
He was washed up. The man was 46 years old.
It's not that. No. It's not that he was washed up. It's that people thought.
Yeah, no, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
They thought he was
George
washed
Foreman,
up.
before Joseph Parker beat Andy Ruiz, right? Before Joseph Parker beat Andy Ruiz, George Foreman was the 4th youngest heavyweight champion in history. I think Joseph Parker is a few months younger than him. And he's the oldest heavyweight champion in history. George Foreman is a fucking phenomenon, man.
Yeah.
George Foreman is a Capricorn, bro. That's
hey, Jules. Stephen Atwell had a question for you. He says, "I try not to be impartial, and Julius, you bring up a good point about the networks. However, how come Bob, when he got ESPN, never pushed for a Bud fight or Manny fight on ABC? Could have relaunched Wide World of Sports, WWE Sports."
Okay, for starters, if we're gonna address the fight that never was, Pacquiao versus Crawford, right? And I'm not trying to be fucked up to Manny, but that fight didn't happen because of Manny, bro.
Yeah,
I watched that whole shit, bro. Like, I don't know why people deliberately take that soundbite from the Marcos Villegas interview out of context. Bob didn't say I fucked up the fight or I killed the fight. He said for fear of Pacquiao's health, I'd kill the fight.
Right.
Because he had already lost to Jeff Horn. He already looked like an old man and he looked washed up. Just watch it. Now, for years, And I watched the whole thing. Freddie was concerned. He said, yo, Bob is pushing for that fight, and I'm concerned. Manny, he wouldn't take the fight when he was still with Top Rank. He wouldn't take the fight for anything under $20 million. That was the problem. Once he left Top Rank and he went over to the PBC, he wanted $40 million. Bob did try to get him the $40 million, but the Saudis wasn't fucking with him then. That was in 2021. They were really 2020, but the story broke in 2021. They wasn't fucking with him. He couldn't get him the money. If Bud didn't get the fight with Manny, it's because, be real, Manny didn't want it. I'm sorry. That hurts anybody's feelings, but Manny didn't want it. Manny saw a more beatable fighter in Adrian Broner, a more beatable fighter in Keith Thurman, and I'm sorry to say, yes, a more beatable fighter in Errol Spence. Why? Errol was in a car accident, bro. It's kind of obvious. Manny liked his chances. But with Bud, he never liked his chances against Bud. Why you asking for $40 million to fight Bud? Did you ask Al Heyman to give you $40 million for Thurman? No. Did you ask him to give you $40 million for Broner? No. Did you ask him $40 million for
insurance?
You know what I'm saying? There should be the paper trail, and all of that is documented. There should really be no confusion as to why Manny never fought Bud. Manny didn't want it. I'm not knocking Manny. I don't think he owes anybody anything. I used to say that all the time whenever I would make videos about it. But my honest take, based on what I'm seeing, Manny didn't want it. It's too dangerous. It's not enough money for me, and it's too dangerous. So if you want me to fight him, you're going to have to pay me a lot.
Right. Now, back to Foreman real quick. Dude, he was a phenom. He's the only fighter I've ever seen who actually carried a freaking cow in his training. A live cow.
Yeah, he was a phenom because he came back
George
a completely
Foreman is amazing, man.
George Foreman is a fucking hero, and he's a Capricorn. Hyam, did you know he's a Capricorn?
I did not know he's a Capricorn.
Yes, he is.
I love George.
Listen. So is Joe Frazier.
George.
So was Joe Frazier. And you know, one thing I liked about George is he lived in both worlds. Remember, when he was the young man, he was the villain, the menacing destroyer. He came back. He complete 180 polar opposite of what he was. He's approachable. He's smiling. He's happy. He cracking jokes. He's a showman. It's Capricorn, man. Capricorn power.
We never seen anybody actually turn heel to good guy like that.
For real.
To be honest. Who we ever seen turn from heel to good guy?
Nobody, bro. Just George.
Yeah, to be honest, we never really seen that before.
Triple H?
Maybe.
I mean, if we get on WWE shit, guys go from good guy to bad guy to good guy to bad guy all the time, bro.
Every week.
Every week.
Like, you know, in boxing, like the real world, like the whole world really show up different for you. That's kind of George Foreman actually did that, yo.
Yeah, like shit. Like George is that dude. Like to me, the all-time greatest puncher, at least for me, is George Foreman. Because which one of you guys?
When you say puncher,
let me say this. Which one of these guys that they so big a puncher like Wilder still gonna be here, 46 years old, not just knocking motherfuckers out, but winning belts?
No, I was going to argue with you, but when you said that, I can't say shit.
You know what? I always used to wonder why Foreman and Shavers never fought each other, but then I found out way later it was because Ron Lyle knocked out Shavers, and that's why they didn't fight. And then, but Ron Lyle and George Foreman had an epic ass battle. I remember that fight.
I think
the fight that I wanted, the fight that I would have wanted, give me Prime George. Prime Young George and Prime Larry Holmes, 80s Larry Holmes. That's the fight for me. If I could make one fight, I would make that fight.
Why was that the fight?
Because Larry didn't just have the best jab. He could take a hell of a shot. The shot that Shavers hit him with, motherfuckers would die. He took that shit and got up. Motherfucker would die if they got hit like that, bro. He hit that dude with everything in his body. He hit him with his toe on his fist.
I remember the exact punch. I know what you're talking about. I know he's telling the truth.
I'll raise you. I'll raise you, Frazier Tyson. Prime Frazier, Prime Tyson.
Frazier loses that fight.
No, I'm not going to lie to you. I would pick that fight over this one. But I am settled Mike gets him. Motherfuckers don't have to like it. Spare me all the but Mike wasn't mentally strong. Listen, he's gonna hit him with so much shit so fast. It's gonna end. It's not that fight. Don't go the distance, bro.
It's speed and pressure. You can't handle that.
It don't go 3
as long
rounds.
as Customado's alive with him.
That's
that
how
fight
I
don't
see
go
it,
3
Hayam.
rounds.
That's how I see it. I'm
Even
like,
that
yo,
well,
really?
Mike Tyson
not
hits
duck.
him with such versatility and power and various punches from different angles, and he's southpaw and orthodox at the same time. Are you out of your mind?
Listen, I'll tell you what. Give me the Frazier from the first Ali fight. Give me the Mike from the Berbick fight. That's before before a lot of shit. Before a lot of shit started. Give me that Mike from the Berbick.
It's a bad.
Yeah, but he still got
fair.
Rooney doing
That's
the
not
counts
fair.
doing the counts with him. Still got
That's
Rooney
not
doing the
fair,
2, 3,
Drew.
4 count.
Tell Stephen
Dude, that's
Amell
not
Foreman
fair.
did not duck Holmes, man. He did not duck him. They didn't.
Tyson versus Berbick, he's the best heavyweight champion that ever lived. Tyson versus Berbick, he's the best fighter in the heavyweight division that's ever existed.
And listen, a lot of people don't like when I say this, right? Mike was the anti-Ali. You give me that. You give me that prime. Give me prime Cassius Clay, the one that fought Sonny Banks, the one that fought Cleveland Williams. Right, give me that one. I'm telling you, and I love Muhammad. I love him, but I think Mike could get him because he's the he made to slip that jab. He made to slip that jab. That's what he gonna get low, slip that jab, right hook, right uppercut. That's what he gonna do. And you know Mike had a left hook. How many times I seen Ali drop by the left hook? Sonny Banks dropped him with a left hook. Joe Frazier dropped him with a left hook. I think Mike would have got him. If in the time machine, in a vacuum. I think Mike would have got him.
That's the beauty about Mike Tyson. The special thing about Mike Tyson.
Ali, I don't know about that one, man.
Yes, he would have knocked him clean out.
No, I tell you how I look at it. Wait, country. I tell you how I look at it. The Ali that came back, Muhammad, he'll beat Mike, but Cassius don't beat Mike.
I don't agree with that.
I disagree. I think Cassius has a better chance to beat
What Muhammad Ali
when he's younger, still moving, like bouncing on his feet.
I don't
know. Wait. If Ali could lean back on them ropes and take that pounding on his chin from Big George and still be standing,
it's a different fight scenario.
Mike is knocking him out.
It's a whole different fight scenario.
And I'm telling
Mike Tyson is not fighting you on the road.
Cassius, stop it. The reason I said Cassius is because he was younger and greener. But when he came back, he was smarter. Like, go ahead, throw your shit. Throw your shit. Throw your shit, bro. Throw your shit.
Let me fight with you. Let me
hit
fight
harder than Tyson did. I'm telling you.
No, let me fight with
you. I disagree with you, country.
Let me fight with you.
Wait. I think are you picking Are you saying the Cassius before he beat Sonny Liston?
I'm saying yes, I'm saying Cassius Clay. Clay. Grainy film, black and white. He'll lose the mic. But Muhammad, nah, he not losing the mic.
I'm saying Muhammad loses too. Watch this.
Nah. Yo, right, listen, now you're going too far.
Okay, if we're talking about
let me explain something.
That dude fought fucking Joe Frazier 45 rounds, bro. No. Nah. Three fights.
The first round fucking Frazier versus Ali, Mike Tyson kills him. Are you out of your mind?
Listen, I love Mike Tyson, man.
Mike Tyson, listen, this is the only thing I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna shut the fuck up. The only thing that's special about Mike Tyson is you can line him up shoulder to shoulder against every single heavyweight in history. And when he steps out on one question. Can he beat 80 or 90% of all the heavyweights in history?
Absolutely.
Who steps out? There's Jack Johnson, there's Lennox Lewis, there's Mike Tyson, there might be a Vladimir Klitschko. These are the very few people that step out. Mike Tyson believers like my crazy self. Hold on. Mike Tyson believers like my crazy self believe that he steps out before everybody else does.
The motherfucking Mike that Lennox
fought, Mike Tyson,
was washed up. He was washed up.
What about the one that Holyfield fought? He wasn't washed up. The Tyson that Holyfield
This
fought
is the
was
thing
not
about Mike
washed up.
Tyson. Hold on. This is the thing about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson matured at a very early age, but he came out of his prime at a very early age.
Let me make this point, though. The one problem Tyson had when he did lose, whether it was Holyfield, Buster Douglas, whoever, when he got hit and he got fucked up, he could not come back from adversity. That was Tyson's
that's not
problem.
true.
That's not true.
That's not true.
What fight did he have where he came back from adversity?
First, let me say this. Let me say this. Don't take the fucking Holyfield fight out of context.
Yeah.
Don't take that out of context. One, Holy wasn't no bitch. Wait. Holy wasn't no bitch. And what I don't like about what people do when they talk about the Holyfield fight, like, oh, Mike was just supposed to win that. No, Holy ain't no bitch. That's one of the best chins in boxing. One of the best counterpunches in boxing. That's not a nobody, right? And I hate that people bring that up like, oh, because what, he was just supposed to wipe his ass with him? Holy wasn't no bitch.
But most people thought he was going to wash him, though.
Can I push back on that, Country, though? I did see Tyson kind of trying to get back at him. You know, prior to the ear bite, he was trying to come back. He was trying to fight through adversity, but he was getting he was getting headbutted too much.
Yeah, the headbutts are real, man. I agree. He said he was blacking out in the ring while he was fighting him in the first fight because the headbutts was over and over again.
But also, can I say this? Holyfield for Mike, stylistically, because hindsight is 2020. It's a nightmare matchup. Yeah, it's a nightmare for Mike. It's literally, you don't beat this style. Why? This dude is a counterpuncher, and you're a pressure fighter. He don't have to find you. You're gonna bring the fight to him and give him everything he needs to piece you up. Look at the right cross that he threw at Buster Douglas. The counter right cross. Beautiful, bro. People don't even throw punches like that. No, it was beautiful. Slip, bam, took him right the fuck out. Holyfield was not a nobody. Losing to Holyfield, like, they tried to shame Mike because of his aura, but Tom tells the story that, look, ain't no shame in losing to Holyfield, bro. That dude was a motherfucking animal. He's a dirty motherfucker, too, which I like. I appreciate it, though. I like the dirty shit. The headbutt, I love it. I love it all. Drew, I love the headbutts and all that bullshit.
I didn't know that shit when it was happening during the fight, damn it.
Let me say this.
Poor Joshua.
Look, I'm going to say something about Mike. You can agree, you can disagree. Muhammad Ali's control game was one of the best in not just in heavyweight boxing, in boxing in general. The ability to use the forearms, the elbow, the shoulder, to control the opponent, physicality. Foreman was elite in that regard also. Evander Holyfield was elite in that regard. Mike Tyson control game was garbage. He had no control game.
You said Mike Tyson had no control game?
No, in terms of physicality, the using his body to control the opponent. I love Mike Tyson, but on that level, he was never supposed to beat Evander Holyfield because Evander Holyfield understood
I disagree
that
with you, fam.
he understood.
All right, let him finish.
Wait.
No, I'm just talking to him regular, like just conversation. You know what I mean?
He understood that in order to beat someone like Mike Tyson, that is the superior physical specimen, you have to be physical. You have to be, let's put it in other words, dirty, but being the right kind of dirty. The right kind that the referee is not going to call you off. And Muhammad Ali was elite because of that. George Foreman was elite because without physicality, it doesn't beat Joe Frazier. No, it doesn't. And Muhammad Ali, with that physicality, with that his control game, it doesn't beat George Foreman.
And all right.
I got.
All right, I'll say this.
I'll
say this. I feel that Mike against Cassius won't know to tie him up and smother him. He won't know, but Muhammad will. He'll
Yeah.
know, like, nah, fuck this. Like, I can't give you room to throw. Fuck that. And then and just play with him and piss him off and take him into the 7th, take him into the 8th. And as he slows down, then you open up. Not dissimilar from what we saw in the Foreman fight. Muhammad Ali would know because he was a more experienced fighter. But young Cassius, nah, you
No,
gonna
he
get
wouldn't
got.
know that. Yeah.
You
But
gonna get
Jules,
got because
hey,
you
Jules,
gonna
let me
be
tell you
fast
this.
enough to fight with him.
Cassius or Muhammad, he still would have had the psychological edge over Mike.
No,
Go
he
ahead and
wouldn't
piss him off, country, at your peril. Go ahead
know.
and
No, he
piss him
wouldn't
off,
know.
Mike.
No, he wouldn't
Yeah,
know.
but see, the thing is, y'all forgetting if he had custom model
He wouldn't
and
have
Rudy at
nothing.
the same time, that nullifies some of that.
Yeah,
No,
I
I'm
agree.
saying
I
he wouldn't
agree.
have had no
Let's
advantage
be
over
real.
Mike
The
at
Mike that
all.
we watched was Kevin Root. Like I love Cuss too. Look, Cuss was a Capricorn, Hyam, in case you didn't know.
I know that. I
Hey,
know
no,
that.
real
I
quick.
just
Did you
wanted to
guys
let you
ever
know
see
that.
video? Did you guys ever see that video footage of Cuss sparring with Ali, that light sparring?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, I saw it. I
did.
saw it.
Yes,
He
I
They
did.
actually
both got
was
on the white
disrupting
shirts.
Ali.
They got
So
on white
if Mike
dress
would
shirts.
have had Cuss, Mike might have been able to beat him because Cuss knew how to disrupt Ali, and he showed that in that film.
Now, let me shout out to Timothy Gallegos for the Cash App donation to the channel. I appreciate you. You didn't have to do that, but you did it. Thank you kindly. To Country's point, Cuss made that whole peekaboo style, slipping side to side like a metronome around the jab, to disrupt who, Country? To
Jab
disrupt who?
boxers.
Ali, bruh. Mike was the anti-Ali. That's what that whole style was, the anti-Ali, to disrupt the jab of a taller fighter who fights on the balls of his feet. That's what all of that was about. And I don't think for a second that Cassius Clay would have had the foot speed to keep Mike on the outside. No.
Ali wouldn't have
Now,
had the
Jules, hold on,
durability
Jules.
to
The
survive.
Muhammad that fought Cleveland Williams when he was
Let's
already
see.
champion, he was already big and had legs. Does he beat Mike Tyson?
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Like
And
I
that's
said,
the best heavyweight I've ever seen in my life.
listen, I'm telling you, if I got to match them, give me the Muhammad Ali that fought George Foreman. Give me that same Mike from the Berbick fight or the Razor Ruddock fight. That Mike. I believe that Muhammad Ali, he'll beat Mike because he'll be smarter. I can't fight this dude, but I can let him punch himself out. I can't match his speed, but I gotta minimize the damage, tie him up, tire him out,
That
and then
Ali
take him
doesn't.
out.
That Ali
Julius,
is not ready for Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is a real. So the Mike Tyson that we talking about, that all of us are talking about. He said the Razor Ruddock or the Trevor Berbick. Trevor Berbick is the Ali that the Tyson that I'm talking about. That Mike Tyson beats everybody. Everybody in the history of the fucking sport. There's nobody even close to that guy. Period. That's why we're Mike Tyson fans, because we truly believe that shit.
I disagree with you, Hyam.
That's hyperbole, but I like your
I don't give
conviction.
a fuck what y'all say. I don't give a fuck. Listen to me, motherfucker. Ain't nobody better than that nigga. That nigga
How you know you're from New York, bro?
everybody.
Hey, yo, Mike Tyson would have knocked out anybody.
Anybody. I don't give a fuck. Anybody. Yo, let me tell you something about Mike Tyson.
I don't agree.
He's for. I know we could disagree. I know I'm talking my shit. You know I'm popping my shit. I don't have a few.
Nobody.
You know I'm popping my shit. I don't have
nobody on earth.
Nobody on earth, motherfucker on earth. This guy, when this guy walk up to you, dog, he dictates the pace. That's why I didn't understand what the guy was saying about physicality. Mike Tyson, Leo was talking about physicality earlier, a second ago. He was talking about the fighter's physicality. Mike Tyson physicality begins within himself, and then he delivers it to you by cutting off the ring and exerting himself with power punches and bunches and defense to match it. There's nobody better than him.
Let me say this. The only reason I picked Cassius is because Muhammad. The only reason I would pick that more weathered and mature Muhammad is because he would have known I gotta mitigate the damage. I gotta mitigate it and minimize it. Time up in between, get the punches in where I can, but I got to take him to the 8th, the 9th. I
Ninth,
gotta
yeah.
get him there because he is gonna burn out. There's no way, and we know this to be a fact. He can't keep up that pace. Not all night. Now the first 6 rounds, he's yeah.
Can I please say one last thing? And I'm trying to be quiet, Drews. I swear I'm trying to be quiet. There's a record out there that says that Mike Tyson was 17-0 and went 17 knockouts and never fought an hour professionally. There's a record out there that says that. I'm trying to verify it, whatever.
No, you're not wrong. He fought.
Please verify it if you can.
He fought. Listen, his first year as a pro. Mike's first year as a pro.
I know it's 14 fights.
This dude, that's what I'm like,
Come
bro.
on.
And
So
he
now
was
what I'm saying is
destroying guys, though.
nobody will ever break that record. 17 fights, 17 knockouts. You know who fucked up his record? Jesse Ferguson with some disqualification bullshit.
Yeah.
Yo, no contest garbage, some shit on it, but he knocked him out anyway. But there'll never be another Mike Tyson. Like there'll never be another.
It's not. It damn sure ain't. It
Okay,
damn sure.
let me say this. When I'm talking about physicality, when I'm talking about control games,
No, yeah, I'm not trying to get at you.
a better
man. I'm not
example
trying to
will
get at you.
be,
My bad, fam.
look, for me, the two best fighters with the two best control games in the sport will have to be, I cannot put one in front of the other, but Roberto Duran and Floyd Mayweather. Those are the two, because you see what Roberto Duran does in the inside. You see how minimize the damage. You see how he's blocked the punches without even seeing it at close range. Floyd is that kind of fighter too, but maybe in a lesser level because Duran fought bigger people, but they are close to each other. And my point is, Mike Tyson didn't have any of that because
I'm just
one
talking.
of the
I know what Leo means.
What about Jermaine Mayweather at lightweight?
Leo
I'm
means.
just
I
having
know
a
what Leo
conversation.
means. I do know what
I
Leo
do know
means.
what he means. But
let's say this.
You know,
I'll say this. Physically, it's kind of like the Roy thing. We know that a good portion of Roy, and Roy would be insulted because I've seen people say this, and he did an interview about it, and he gets insulted when people say it. But physically, he was a specimen, bro. Who's faster? Who's stronger? Who's more athletic than this guy? Roy says that he worked at it, and maybe he did, but I just know that physically, when he was on it, you couldn't fuck with him, right? It's the same with Mike. When we talk about Mike, physically, he don't need to control you. He's gonna run over you. He doesn't need to control you. Fuck
Thank you.
controlling
That's all
you.
I was saying.
He'll run over you.
No disrespect, Leo, to nothing you were saying, because I understood your point. But what Jules just said was exactly what I was trying to say. Like, there's a whole different level to physicality when you're Dr. Still Hammer. I don't have to really. I could just hit you with the fucking right hand. When I'm Lennox Lewis, there's a different level to physicality.
Okay.
When I'm Mike Tyson, all I gotta do is cut off the ring. When I'm Manny Pacquiao, all I gotta do is cut off the ring. You know what I'm saying? I don't gotta really get physical with
I got a question for you guys though. Prime Mike, Prime Lennox. How does that fight really come out? Because Mike
You want No, don't do this. Don't fucking do this.
I'm doing
Let's
it.
go.
Don't do. All right. You want my honest opinion, bro? You want my honest opinion?
I want all of your opinions.
If Rockmon could touch you, Prime Mike would have touched you. And I'm sorry. In 2001, I'm not going to sugarcoat it because I hate I hate that people do this. In 2001, y'all know damn good and well that Mike was finished, bro.
Yeah,
in 2001.
I know.
That's why he wanted Rockman, not
Watch
Lewis.
the fight live, baby.
Let me
Come
throw
on.
this in real quick.
So Oliver McCall could touch him.
You.
Prime Mike couldn't.
Let me
Can't
throw
touch
this
you.
in. Let me
Only
throw
thing,
this
yo,
in.
Jules, Hold up.
Wait. Let me throw this one more thing in, please.
Mm-hmm.
First fight, he may get knocked out. Lewis may get knocked out because that was his pattern. The second fight, he came back with a vengeance and always beat people and knocked them out.
He would have had to come back 3-4 fights later to fight that Mike.
Wait. If Mike knocked him out in the first fight, how does that second fight
The
Go.
second fight is 3 years later. He wouldn't have fought him right after.
And he would have did the same.
He wouldn't have fought him straight up.
He did the same shit that
He would have did the same shit he did with Oliver McCall.
Same shit. He didn't fight
Yeah,
Oliver McCall
come on,
right
dog.
away.
We see
It's
this
like
shit. The
3
writing on the
fights
wall,
in
man.
between the McCall fights.
I'm
Between the
talking
first
prime
one and
for
the second
prime,
one.
though. Prime for
Yeah.
prime, I'm talking.
Prime versus Prime, Mike would have killed him, man.
Tyson is in my top 5 guys, but I got to keep it a beam with you. Oliver McCall and Rockman didn't get the best Lennox Lewis because Lennox Lewis had moments and lapses of judgment and how he prepared for fights. He knows he's fighting Tyson. He's not going to have any lapses. So that, I understand the comparisons, but
don't do that, unbiased. Unbiased, don't do that because, all right, then, which motherfucking Lennox Ray Mercer?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
Which
What's
Lennox he
Lennox?
got then?
What's your Lennox?
But Ray Mercer is known to knock niggas out and put people under.
No, you got to name your Lennox.
Mike Tyson.
You got to name your Lennox. Just like we asked about Joshua.
Croc
just like we
Lennox
asked about
or
Wilder
prior
last week.
or
You got to
pre
name
Croc
your
Lennox.
Lennox. Name your Lennox.
My Lennox?
Yeah, you got to name them.
All right, Lennox Lewis versus. Actually, I'll go Lennox Lewis versus Rockman too. That Lennox Lewis.
That all right. I'll focus Lennox. I'll focus big boy Lennox.
And all I'm going to tell you, see, this is the thing, and it's not that I'm making excuses for Mike, but I grew up in that era, bro. I knew Mike.
I did too, but I got to keep it.
Hold on. I knew Mike was going to lose to Lennox, bro. I put money that he was going to lose to Lennox because I knew this is not the Mike that I grew up with when I was a kid. He on some shit now where he'll bury his head in your chest and, to try to throw the punches. He wasn't fast on his feet no more. He wasn't slipping like he used to. I knew he wasn't the same guy.
That was washed Mike Tyson. I knew that.
That was a washed Mike Tyson,
Everybody
bro.
knows that. Come on.
I mean, I love Mike Tyson, but I knew there was no way he was going to win that fight.
That was Ronnie Shields Mike Tyson.
That was Copper.
That was Weedhead Mike Tyson.
Man. I was hoping and praying with my friends in the living room.
I got one for you guys. How about prime Mike Tyson versus Joe Lewis? Any shot he wins.
Any shot who wins?
All right. Let me answer. Listen, bro. Nothing against Joe Lewis, right? Speed and movement bothered him. How do I know? Billy Conn. And Billy Conn had no power. But by the end of the 12th, Billy Conn was up on the cards. I'm telling you, if you swap out Billy Conn for Mike Tyson, Joe don't make it to the 13th round. Wow. I don't think Joe makes it to the 6th. Mike was too fast for a man to be a heavyweight and that fucking fast with that kind of power. Nah, son.
I gotta be convinced Mike beats everybody.
But could Mike go 15 rounds?
Well, okay, prime Mike Tyson versus Galactus. Who wins?
I don't think he can.
Prime Mike Tyson versus who?
Galactus. Who wins?
No, it might be a split decision. Galactus might win a split decision. He might.
Yo, for some reason, I measure all of the past heavyweights. For some stupid reason, I measure them against Garcia. For some reason, because somebody.
Why?
I got in an argument. No, I got in an argument on YouTube when a guy talking about Rocky Marciano versus Garcia, and I was like, "Yo, Garcia wipes him out," and that's what I said. I said Garcia destroys him,
and I don't say that to disrespect. I don't say that to disrespect, but I have it the same way.
Yeah,
yo, can I ask you? Hold on, real quick.
Is a lot stronger because of the Chris Areola statement. I think Garcia is a lot stronger than all of the old heavyweights.
Okay, let me hold on. How much did Marciano weigh back then for heavyweight?
170 something.
Yeah.
Okay, but Turbia beats him.
But Turbia beats him.
And once again, I don't say that to shit on Rock. Like, it's not even that. It's just that your division was a different division. There was heavyweights at that time. They weighed no more than 175, 179 pounds.
Yeah,
like they were smaller men. Then the
heavyweight was the original heavyweight division.
Marciano versus Berlanga, who wins?
Hey, I got a question for you guys. If Ikabe Ibuchi didn't screw up and end up in prison, who would you have thought would have been a great fight for him?
Are you talking about Ike versus Mike?
Whoever. It could be
Mike
whoever you think. Who do you think would have been a great fight for him? Ikabe Ibuchi.
He was range.
Oh, right.
Riddick Bowe.
Yeah, Riddick Bowe. I would Vitali.
Riddick Bowe.
Did I didn't fight Vitali.
What's this guy? Razor Ruddock. Right?
Yeah, Donovan Ruddock, but he was old by the time Ike came around.
No, I mean, if we just dream, man.
All right, yeah.
Shannon Briggs.
Oh,
Yeah.
ooh.
I would go with Ike. I would
before.
go with Ike in that fight.
Because he'll wear him out.
Yeah. Now let me read the super chats. Mike Tyson was one of the last people to go 15 rounds when he fought Tyrell Biggs. I think Mike has a shot the older I get. Trying to tell y'all. Will says, to clarify, he beat him in 7, but it was still a 15 rounder. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucking Mike Tyson, bro. Now, on that note, I'm going to close it out because I want to go watch Law and Order. And I will see y'all on the next one. And y'all know, for those that don't know, I will be going live for Eubank versus Beefy. I will be going live, so y'all be there, be square. Y'all have a good night.
You
and
too.
Mike Tyson, country, Mike Tyson beats everyone, and you need to understand that.
Oh, yeah, cool boy.
Gotta leave on a party shot.
I told you